people
Thank you
for.
very much. Our next speaker will be Shelley Valdez, followed by Scott Height, and then Emily Lee. I apologize now if I mispronounce anyone's name. Welcome. You have 2 minutes.
Okay, thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity to speak in front of you. I have been the full-time art teacher at Lithia Springs Elementary. Some of you know that school very well, as you've been there several times. And I've been there 17 years, and I've been there for 5 days. And then all of a sudden, I'm supposed to get cut and go to another school 2 days a week, which doubles the class load that I am currently teaching, okay? Doubles it. On top of that, we are doing e-learning, and I think that that might have been forgotten about right now, because then you add those classes on top of that. That equals for me to teach about 62 classes every week, okay? That's impossible. And I chose, instead of doing what the conditions that you put for me and, you know, doing that, I chose to go ahead and quit my job. I quit not on the students, but I quit because the district is not treating their teachers fairly. I also quit because I'm hearing stories of intimidation and stories of, if people are speaking out, that they are being intimidated by certain people. And it's not fair. And I don't think that it should be, you know, this district should be led where we fear our jobs if we come to a school board meeting and speak out. In addition, there's $49 million being cut from instructional positions, and now there's $32 million being put back in for administration costs. Some schools are getting a second assistant principal right now, a second one. They don't even, I mean, why would that be when we're cutting positions from teachers? None of it makes sense. We need answers. And this year is not the normal cuts, like you keep portraying to the media.
Thank you very much for your comments. Our next speaker will be Scott Height, followed by Emily Lee, and then Alexandra Gilmore. Welcome. You have 2 minutes.
Good evening. Thank you for having me. I came here as a father of 4 kids in the district. Proudly moved here from New York. Really excited to be in this district. More so because its reputation of being a great school to help celebrate the arts and give those opportunities to kids. I was very, very disappointed to hear what's happening. We know the pandemic has created a lot of uncertainty. And right now what we need is stability. And I think some of the choices here have really created a lot of instability for our kids and teachers, but mostly for the kids. And I have a lot of empathy for the teachers and for the board, but our kids are our life. And we really want to do right by them. So I have a lot of experience in business. I used to be a chief financial officer of a lot of companies in New York, very big ones. And there's a fundamental problem here that we're in the business of teaching kids. So the number one employee in the mix are the teachers. I really struggle to see that we haven't found a way to have a lower overhead to support the core service. That would be like, let's rent more buildings because our revenue's down. It's very backwards. As it impacts the reality for these kids, I don't like that it's actually creating instability in their daily routine. The pandemic's been really tricky for them and for all of us. I think more than ever, having the programs they had is why they like to come into school. So we're getting to the point that we're just trying to work with a little bit less budget. I think what the board really should be doing is keeping the instructional budgets the same. It was last year it was 1.4 billion. This year it's going to drop, if this proposal goes through, by 12%. It's factual. I'm using the 1441 is becoming 1265. It's $176 million. We should find that elsewhere and not disrupt what's happening. I really hope you guys will decide to vote no and make an amendment to spend more on instruction.
Thank you very much for your comments. I believe the superintendent's going to address some of that a little bit later as well. Our next speaker is going to be Emily Lee from Plant City, followed by Alexandra Gilmore, and then Frank Reyes. Welcome. You have 2 minutes.
Hello. Thank you for your time today. So I am signed up as a parent at this time. I am a parent of 2 Hillsborough County students. And I had some concerns about the budget that is going to get passed. Obviously, the decrease in instructional, $49 million, that's a good thing, right? That's what we want to do. But I and a lot of people are confused on the increase on the $31 million for administrative costs, the $5 million in curriculum, the $2 million in renovations. It seems like that does not go with what our efforts are trying. Ms. Saunders called my phone today while I was teaching to discuss this ahead of the meeting. I wasn't sure if that's like standard protocol, but I had signed up to talk publicly for public comment, not on the phone while I'm working. We had a colleague challenge you guys to take a pay cut from the top, to take a 15% pay cut, to have your cabinet take a pay cut. These are things that higher institutions are doing to help balance their budgets. Because we keep hearing that there's hard decisions, there has to be hard decisions made, but right now it seems like they're mainly affecting the students. They're teachers that are getting cut. Those are the hard decisions that are getting made, and it doesn't seem like hard decisions are getting made where they need to be, maybe where people make a lot more money. This was a group effort to get into this, right? It didn't happen overnight. Month after month, you voted on this budget. There were hundreds of us doing homework this weekend. We read the 75 pages. I'm not trained in this. And it was, a lot of things were glaringly wrong. So I hope that before you vote to pass the budget, you've looked at it and maybe thought of other ways that we can cut other than from our teaching unit, the largest part from our teaching unit. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your comments. Our next speakers will be Alexandra Gilmore, followed by Frank Reyes, and then Karina Franco. Welcome. You have 2 minutes.
Thank you. Hello to everyone. So this is my first time speaking. I'm speaking just because for the spokesperson for Black children, right? And so I'm a mother of 2 boys at Liberty Middle School and Tim Palms Elementary. What I have seen has been truly disgusting when it comes to children of color with the assessments, and I know that's not all with the district. I know that's the state of the Department of Education with the legislators, but what I don't understand is how we have this last week right now. Children are being tested every day because they were held back from the FSA testing. They did not pass. This is the last week for grades to be put in. They are held to the same standards as those kids who have passed the FSA reading, the FSA math, or the EOC for Algebra 1. How can you expect my child, if he has a substitute teacher with no instructions, the department head is trying to do what they can do, but still they're not in that classroom. You're holding them the same standards when they're at King, Greco, Wharton, Sulphur Springs, Moore Elementary, as I shall go on, but as the same as they are at Plant with teachers full capacities. These are vacancies that aren't filled. There are children in King High School who have never had a math or a science teacher. That is not okay, but they are held to the same standards as those children that are financially blessed to be able to move across town to a school that has a feeling of teachers throughout the whole school system. I ask the superintendent, please, we need to do something about that. There is no reason that substitute teachers like myself need to sit in a vacancy the whole time and hold those kids the same way that you do to those kids that have a teacher all year long. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Gilmore. Mr. Superintendent, do you have a team member that could assist Ms. Gilmore with some of her concerns?
Yes, ma'am, through the chair.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am, through the chair, Ms.
Thank
Basin.
you. Our next speaker is Frank Reyes, followed by Karina Franco, and then Ellen Lyons.
Good afternoon.
Welcome.
Hillsborough County Council PTA, PTSA calls for the reevaluation of teacher allocations and union cuts throughout the district. We are extremely disappointed to see the administration cuts to funding for crucial public education staffing by $45 million while increasing school administration by $30 million. We are encouraged, though, by Hillsborough County Public Schools' plan to balance the Hillsborough school budgets. It should not, however, outweigh the concerns for fully staffing schools, keeping class sizes within or below the statutory limitations, and making Hillsborough County Public Schools the top choice for education. Now more than ever, transparency regarding the budget is imperative. Parents, families, community stakeholders, and taxpayers are hyper aware of the investment needed in our children's education. The amount of these cuts and the reassignments that have been made directly impact the lives of students and their future hopes, and teachers and their livelihood. Education is paramount to our success of our communities, and these cuts simply state that teachers and students are not a priority. And on a personal note, I'm very sorry. I'd like to say this to our teachers and our students and everyone. We are very sorry for failing you right now, for not doing what we promised to do for each one of you. As a PTA president, I will work as hard as I can to advocate and do what I can to make sure that the success of your education and for our teachers and their livelihood is maintained. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your comments. Our next speaker is Karina Franco, followed by Ellen Lyons, and then Damaris Allen. Welcome. You have 2 minutes.
Thank you for your time. I would like to say that I graduated from this county a couple of years ago. I was in the arts program. I did theater, I did band, I did orchestra and everything. My life has been forever changed because of the arts programs in this county. I am now standing where I am now as a third-year music major at USF. Although they just cut our college of education, we don't know what's going to happen. But I'm here as like an example that like arts still is important. Not saying that's not. It's still very important, and in our county and in our schools, and that's what's needed for a well-rounded education. Like, so people like me, I'm a first-generation Hispanic woman. My parents are immigrants. I found my place through music, and that's amazing, and it's a wonderful thing, and other students should have the opportunity to do so.
Thank you so much for your comments. I know the superintendent's going to be addressing that as well today. Our next speaker is going to be Ellen Lyons, followed by Damaris Allen, and then Anya Patel. Welcome. You have 2 minutes.
Thank you very much. My name is Ellen Lyons. I am with the Hillsborough County Council PTA. I'm the South Region representative. I wanted to come as a stakeholder in the education process. Parents, teachers, students, we're all stakeholders. We all have a right to know and have information presented to us in a transparent manner. And the concern that I have with the budget cuts is that I don't actually understand the business case for the general fund deficit, or the low balance, if you want to call it that. I don't understand why it's a problem to use capital account dollars to true up expenses to the general fund if they are truly related to capital expenditures. I don't understand that. I don't understand why the district thinks it's going to have to refund so much FEFP money to the Florida Department of Education in January, because the emergency order gives this district, it holds it harmless from the July and the October counts of students. So why isn't there going to be some prorated money that we get to keep? And then I just don't understand why the balance is so low. I don't think that the district has made the case to have the authority to make the cuts to education that you are proposing in the budget. And therefore, I would like everyone on this board and the people in the district to communicate in a transparent manner with all of the stakeholders. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Mr. Superintendent, maybe Ms. Saunders could assist in answering some of Ms. Lyons' questions and concerns, if you wouldn't mind. Thank you. Okay, our next speaker is going to be Damaris Allen, followed by Anya Patel, and then Anna Rice. Welcome. You have 2 minutes.
My 8th and 9th grade years at Webb Junior High were the hardest of my youth. A close friend confided in me that she was abused by her father, and I reported it. She was so terrified of the consequences of that report that she threatened to bring her father's gun to school and to kill me. After hours of days of meetings, with authorities and administrators, I was left devastated. I was a 13-year-old girl who had lost her friends and her safe place at school because I did what was right. I struggled to sit through class, and you could set your watch by my daily cry. While I had all the support in the world at home, I was alone at school, the place where I spent the majority of my time. My school counselor was a lifeline. She created a safe space, and I visited her office regularly to recompose myself. My algebra teacher infused laughter into his lessons, brightening my day. And my band teacher allowed me to create beautiful music that would help me to forget the ugliness that was occurring around me. I would not be here today if it hadn't been for my teachers and my counselor. For the administration, my situation was a problem to be solved, but for my teachers and my counselor, I was a person who needed to be nurtured. They saw my ability to persevere as leadership. And in fact, over 20 years ago, they awarded me, this is only one of them, I lost the leadership award. They awarded me several awards to show this to me. And it was the first time I began to think of myself as a leader. And I guarantee you, I would probably not be standing here today if it wasn't for their investment in me. I urge you to put our investments in teachers and counselors because they are the ones that make the difference. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Our next speaker is going to be Anya Patel, a student, board members, and then Anna Rice and Bianca Goolsby. Now or later? Okay. Welcome. You have 2 minutes.
Good afternoon, and thank you to Ms. Stewart, Ms. Whaley, and Ms. Roger Navarro for giving me this opportunity to share my voice. My name is Anya Patel, and I am a 10th grade student at Hillsborough High School, IB. I would like to thank my principal, Ms. Kelly King, for her support as I kicked off my initiative at Hillsborough High. My topic today is about accessibility and affordability of menstrual hygiene supplies that leads 1 out of 4 young girls to miss class. Yes, that is correct. 1 in 4 young girls. When 85% of young female students in Florida attend Title I eligible schools, you can understand why this problem persists. With COVID-19 and the constraint on resources, this will only get worse. As a young advocate, I wanted to make a change, so I took action. I've started an initiative called Periods During the Pandemic, No Girl Left Behind, where with the goal to donate over 50,000 pads to Title I middle and high school girls in other shelters throughout Hillsborough County. This work has been made possible through the partnership with school nurses through Dr. Maria Russ and school social workers through Dr. Myrna Hogue. I have started a GoFundMe campaign, worked with volunteers, and partnered up with the University of Tampa to collect donations. My hopes are that the county shares my concern and creates an ongoing means to support this initiative so that one day every girl has ready and free access to menstrual hygiene products so that they may get the education they deserve. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Hold on just one moment, Ms. Patel. Oh, one more moment. We have a couple board members, well, at least one board member that would like to make a comment while you're here.
Thank you. And I'm taking a point of privilege tonight. It's my last meeting. I know we don't usually speak during public comment, but I just wanted to thank you again, Ms. Patel, for the forum that you put together last night. I had the opportunity with several other speakers to speak to 35 girls that were on a Zoom call at the University of Tampa about this issue. And I'm so proud of the fact that you've raised the dollars and the funds to give supplies to 12 of our Title I schools. And I urge you to continue to work with the superintendent and his staff to continue your project. I know that you're only in 10th grade at Hillsborough. I'm praying for you for next year. But I'm proud that I got the opportunity to participate in this process with you, and I wish you nothing but the best. So thank you for coming tonight and speaking to the board.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. So we may be a little biased for our students when it comes to public comment. Sorry. So, sorry. Okay. We have Anna Rice will be our next speaker, followed by Bianca Goolsby and then Amy Gatlin. Good afternoon. You have 2 minutes.
Good afternoon. Thank you for seeing me today. Oops, sorry. My name is Anna Rice, and I'm the music teacher at Sharamonte Elementary School. I am surrounded and supported by incredible administration, parents, students, and I feel very blessed to be the music school teacher there. I wake up every morning looking forward to start the day with my phenomenal musicians, not just students, musicians. I spend weekends planning and dreaming up new ways to engage my students, especially during this pandemic, in which any light that can be given, I find it and I give it. When I first began my education to become a music educator, I knew I would change the world. I'm pursuing my master's in educational leadership for just that. Right now, I know that my way of changing the world is by teaching music, by making the world more beautiful and influencing kids who reflect values that music teaches them: leadership, teamwork, creativity, communication, and tolerance. And about music and musicianship, of course. Right now, we're putting highly qualified and effective teachers into the pool who have been teaching music for years. Mr. Davis said that he would not cut the music or arts program, but what about the people who run them? Without the allocations to run specials programs, especially before and after school music programs that this county holds in high esteem, programs will diminish. No more world drumming, no more handbells, no more rock band, chorus, or anything of that. To do these cuts to teachers and therefore programs during a pandemic dims the light and efforts put forward by educators and by students. Do you need more evidence? Watch our 2020 Fine Arts Festival at the Straz that happens yearly. I'm not here to speak for myself. I'm here to speak for those who can't and are afraid and angry, and those who are confused. Cutting positions in the middle of a school year in a pandemic is a deplorable act, and I think you can make the right decision today by voting no. Save the arts.
Thank you very much for your comments. Our next speaker is Bianca Goolsby, followed by Amy Gatlin, and then Danielle Poritz. Welcome. You have 2 minutes.
So I just want to know who's going to jail. I want to know who's being terminated, and we demand answers because none of this is okay. So we have principals being yelled at by the superintendent trying to silence folks, which is the same behavior identified in a 22-page report on Addison Davis with the Clay County Sheriff's Office 2 years ago. Board members, I've been speaking to you a little over a year, highlighting the corruption and dysfunction of this district. The block is hot. And as I told you, people lie, receipts don't. This mismanagement of this district is appalling. You sat and advocated to reopen schools because our children need stability. Where's the stability when many children will fail this 9 weeks because they're being forced on edgenuity? Let's be honest with the intention of that program: seed time for FTE dollars. Where's the stability in changing all these schedules, cutting classes, cutting valuable resources our children need? We are losing ELL support, mental health support, and valuable teachers that have more certifications than our superintendent. Let's be very clear. I posted about the cuts last Sunday. As soon as it was exposed, a new narrative was created and we threw the word equity in the mix. Don't you dare throw equity around when our schools are losing valuable resources. Don't you dare throw equity when we lead the state in our school to prison pipeline. Don't you dare throw around equity when there is no solutions about our digital divide. This is where I draw the line. Where is the plan for January? Are we going to force our students back because of your mismanagement? If so, tell the parents now. Don't continue to fumble with your decisions. We need accountability, transparency, and integrity in this district. So back to my original question. Who is going to jail for this gross negligence of taxpayers' funds, and who's getting terminated? Some of you board members will be held accountable on November 3rd, and you will lose your seat. And some of these district employees will need to lose their job.
Thank you so much for your comments. Our next speaker is Amy Gatlin, followed by Danielle Poritz, and then Kaylee Peters. Welcome. You have 2 minutes.
Hi, I'm Amy Gatlin. I'm a mom of 3 in elementary to high school. You have yet to show us why we need to cut teachers. We should start cuts with matching 401k, pointless police cars, and redundant computer programs. While we're at it, let's cut the top 20 salaries by 15%. Let's show our district that we have some investment in this. You told us budget problems were because of COVID. Non-reimbursable COVID costs that you have presented do not account for this huge deficit. We were initially told it was an error in salary increases. Then we were told we might have to pay back the state because 3,000 fewer students are here from last year. A district with 210,000 kids will not be bankrupt over 3,000 students. 3,000 fewer students also doesn't equate to more than 3,000 jobs. How many more cuts do we have to look forward to? We've heard support staff are next. We've heard that there will be more teachers cut or units. We've been told so many lies and half-truths. I've lost all faith in any district communication. Budget deficits were known in April. Then again, we had a surprise budget issue in July. The numbers have been changing. First, we heard 50 million was missing. Then we heard 121 million needed to be cut. The latest was 70 million something. I'm not a math person, but someone needs to get an audit and figure out why we are bleeding money. This may not be impacting your salary or you, but it's causing distress for our kids and our teachers. Speaking of stress, now we're cutting guidance counselors or counselors. So we should have 1 counselor to 350 students. We now have 1 counselor to at least 650 students. This is far from best practice. I guess we'll wait until we have an increase in suicides or a lawsuit to worry about mental health. So I don't know how this is safe when we're combining COVID and increasing our class sizes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And I know that there were some points in there that the superintendent will be addressing a little bit later as well. Please stay tuned for that. Our next speaker is Danielle Poritz, followed by Kaylee Peters, and then Jenna Golubef. Thank you. Make sure you pull down that microphone to your face there. Welcome. You have 2 minutes.
Hey, I'm Reagan Peters, and I go to Walker in the 6th grade, and I'm here to talk to you about the budget cuts and how they affected me and my friends at Walker Middle Magnet School. Mr. Aber and Mr. Shawshak were fantastic teachers and are amazing at what they do. Previously, I never liked math and history. I've just never had a good teacher. Mr. Aber and Mr. Shawshak were the first teachers to ever make me like the subject and enjoy the class. They helped me understand the material in a fun way. These subjects have always been so hard for me, but now they're my favorite classes. When me and my friends first heard the news that our favorite teachers weren't our teachers anymore, I was devastated. The teachers that taught me best and that made those classes so fun and easy are gone. Those teachers are amazing and are really good at their jobs. They help me understand what I need to learn in a simple way and make the classes fun and exciting. Mr. Aber and Mr. Shawshak were only my teachers for a quarter, but I can still say with pride that they're the best 6th grade math and history teachers in the world. A few days ago, I made a petition to try and get Mr. Aber and Mr. Shawshak back. This petition was small, but it was a glimmer of hope in our hearts. This petition was only alive for less than 40 minutes, but so many people heard the news and practically ran to go sign it. If this was only 40 minutes, then just imagine how many people would have signed it in a few hours. In a world that is so crazy and in times that are so uncertain, I always look forward to coming to school and it being normal with my favorite teachers. We love these teachers so much, so please let these teachers continue to teach at the school they love with the kids they love. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Very nice job. We have some more students, it looks like, from Walker Middle School. Kaylee Peters will be next once the lectern is clean, and then Jenna Golubef, and then Isabella Rodriguez. Welcome. You have 2 minutes.
Hello, my name is Kaylee Peters. I'm an 8th grader at Walker Middle Magnet School. Today I'm here to talk about the effects of budget cuts in schools across the county. Before I begin, I'd like to remind you that though elective programs are not crucial to academic success, they are many students' favorite classes. This isn't just because they're a break from regular schoolwork. It's because we're passionate about learning about things that we love. Our orchestra teacher, Mr. Hubbard, has been affected by the district's budget cuts. Though I'm not an orchestra student, I am in the band music program at my school. This is the first time I've ever actually enjoyed the orchestra teacher. He is very active in the instruction of his students, and his being at school has provided many new opportunities for students in both music programs, including jazz mornings on Fridays and a joint concert for both programs. His leaving would cause many problems for not only the orchestra, but the band as well. It is likely that our band director would have to assume more responsibility if Mr. Hubbard leaves. After all, she knows the kids better than somebody new. Not only would it be harder on our existing band director, but Mr. Hubbard is an exceptional teacher. We plan on playing a full orchestra piece at our concert, and the only reason for that is because Mr. Hubbard arranged one just for us. If that doesn't prove his worth as a teacher, to spend so much time and effort to do that for us when he really doesn't have to, then I don't know what does. Our orchestra director has been a great teacher for lots of kids in both music programs, including myself. He deserves to be able to spend the rest of the year with us. We love Mr. Hubbard, so please let him stay with the students that need their orchestra director. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Snively.
Yes, Mr. Superintendent. Did you want to address some of that now, or while they're in the room, or?
Sorry, through the chair, only because it's a student.
Okay. Again.
Only.
We might be a little biased. Okay. Well, okay. We have, I think there's one more student from Walker Middle Magnet, and then if you want to address that issue, that would be great. Okay. So we have Jenna Golubef. I hope I said that right. She's going to be the next speaker. And then we will have Isabella Rodriguez and, oh boy, Cynthia Brilhart. So, but welcome to you. You have 2 minutes.
Hi, my name is Jenna Golubef, and I'm here to explain why my accelerated math teacher, Mr. Raber, is the best teacher and why he should stay at Walker Middle School. Everyone has that one teacher that is always kind and willing to help. To me and many others, Mr. Raber is that teacher. The moment I met him on the Zoom call at the beginning of the year, I knew he was going to be my favorite teacher. He is always so happy inside the classroom. He would listen to any questions or problems I had. He would make jokes and laugh at ones we made. One time, when I was struggling in math, Mr. Raber asked me to go to his room for lunch. He let me come to his classroom during his own personal time. Every day since then, I went to his classroom at lunch to get help with math. He never got mad. He always has patience for things people did wrong. He would go over it calmly. If it was my decision, I would keep Mr. Raber and all the other teachers at Walker. Once all the kids at Walker who had Mr. Raber found out he would no longer be teaching, we all took action. We made a petition on this petition were the 100 kids and a couple teachers who want to get him back at our school. Mr. Raber was a part of a lot of kids' lives. When Mr. Raber left, tons of kids fought to get his job back. I am speaking on behalf of all those kids. Bring Mr. Raber back to Walker.
Thank you very much. Also a great job. Are there any other students from Walker? Okay, so hold tight. Mr. Superintendent, did you want to address some of their concerns?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Through the chair. Sorry, and I know that we wouldn't follow protocol, but I just want to thank all three of you. First of all, thank you. Thank you for what you do for your commitment to education. You did a beautiful job tonight, and know that that's right, celebration. Awesome. We're going to continue, I promise you, we're going to continue to have, first round draft pick teachers in front of you every single day. We got a lot of committed teachers in this organization, and I know you built relationships, and you'll continue to build relationships moving forward. But I also want to let Kaylee know is that Mr. Hubbard will be at Walker Middle, continuing his work. So he does an awesome job with orchestra, and he'll continue that work. So, tease him tomorrow, tell him that you got it done tonight. And thank you for what you do. Take credit for it. That's right. Thank you.
Thank you, ladies. I know that it says a little out of order. Excuse me.
Sorry. I started it.
This is a little out of order. I believe there's another Wilson Middle School individual here. So while we're talking about that, is there a Cynthia Brilhart? Okay, would you like to go? I'm sorry to leapfrog a little bit, but since we're talking about Wilson, if you'd like to go next, and then we'll go back and hear from Isabella Rodriguez, and then Maria Asuncion Lopez Yamino. I'm trying. Okay, welcome. You have 2 minutes.
Good afternoon. My friend sent me a screenshot of a text from her child yesterday. The school is stupid. I want to move. He wasn't angry because a test was too hard or because he was disciplined. He was angry because they cut his English teacher, and he liked his English teacher. When you cut a teacher, or a unit, as you call them, you are not only impacting that one teacher's family, you are severing every relationship they had with every person in their school and every child they taught. If 333 teachers are cut, the impact is staggering. Learning takes place through all of these individual teacher-student relationships, and when a teacher is treated poorly, the students feel the impact. And our teachers are being treated poorly in Hillsborough County. What is going on in the district? Why is this happening here? And now? And now is significant because these budget shortfalls predate the pandemic. From where I sit, it looks like our new superintendent is leveraging the pandemic to dismantle our public schools, because schools all over the country are facing the pandemic with all of its challenges, but they are not all cutting 757 teaching positions. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments today. And I know Mr. Superintendent's going to address some of those concerns that you have, Ms. Brohart. Okay, back to our order. We have our next speaker will be Isabella Rodriguez from Plant High School, followed by Maria Asuncion Lopez Yamino, and then Hillary Garcia. Welcome. You have 2 minutes.
Hi, my name is Isabella Rodriguez, and I'm a senior at Plant High School. The cuts that are being made in our county every day are deeply affecting the programs that I have dedicated my life to. Our school board says we need to put the students first, and then they relocate funding to administration, leaving less money for paying teachers, resulting in teacher cuts. To me, this doesn't sound like students first. Furthermore, there are some changes being made to arts teachers in the county that are baffling. Take, for example, the situation of the current band director at Wilson Middle School, Jeff Kayer. It's illogical to have a teacher working at 2 different schools. Why pay a teacher to teach 2 periods at one school, 2 at another, and then pay for him to travel during a period he could be instructing students? And once again, this doesn't sound like students first to me. I understand it's impossible for the district to cut core classes, but my question is, why isn't music considered a core class? Just because my school district deems a career in the arts as less worthwhile, it doesn't mean that it's not the path that I'm going to take in my life. Next, by cutting programs like orchestra and band down to less periods, you're mixing students of every level. The district would never dream of mixing together classes like pre-calc and AP calculus because every student isn't on the same level. Not only does it make the teachers' jobs infinitely harder, but the student is put at a major disadvantage. It takes years to learn an instrument, just as it takes years learning basic math skills to make it into an upper-level math class. Students need a chance to grow in their performing art at the correct pace for them, or else they become discouraged. These changes are, in my eyes, they are unacceptable, and they're clearly putting students' needs second as much as they claim it is to our benefit. Thank you.
Thank you. Very nice job. And I know the superintendent has been aware of some of the comments that you've made, some of the issues, and he's going to be addressing some of that as well today about music and the arts. So thank you so much. I love it when students advocate. That's good stuff. All right, Maria Asuncion Lopez Yamino, followed by Hillary Garcia, and then Lauren Garcia. Welcome. You have 2 minutes.
Opportunity. Thank you. My name is Maria Asuncion Lopez Jimeno, representing the 501c3 organization Voz y Acción de Puerto Rico, Voice and Action of Puerto Rico, to facilitate ways to participate in helping Puerto Rico and the communities where we live. Along with several organizations and individuals, we are impartially sharing information to participate in the public school systems with opinions and comments through the project Convocatoria Hispana del Condado de Hillsborough County Hispanic Convocation. Lack of participation of communities more affected by COVID-19, like the Hispanic and other communities, make it more difficult for issues to be addressed affecting all other aspects of society. However, lack of participation is not always lack of interest. There are endless factors involved. Effective participation is a two-way street of a strong team effort to achieve outcomes together. This will get us closer to finding solutions to the real problems that lie underneath. We say in Spanish, de la noche a la mañana, from night to morning, and comes to mind, it literally means simply overnight. For change to happen, we cannot expect that it will be overnight, because we will lose hope and a realistic perspective upon our goal. However, additions like Facebook, Spanish page, and Twitter recently added are put it on closer. Thank you. We have gladly shared it, and moreover, the current circumstances, virtual participation to be considered as an option. Also, to have registration process more accessible, and at the same time, parents do not always understand the process due to the language barrier. And thank you so much for the opportunity.
Thank you very much. And Mr. Superintendent, I'm not sure if are you already working with someone to address those concerns with the superintendent's staff? I'm assuming. Are you already working with someone on the superintendent's staff for those concerns? Okay, I just wanted to make sure. Excellent. That's what I thought. I just wanted to make sure. Thank you so much. Okay. Our next speaker is going to be Hillary Garcia, followed by Lauren Garcia, and Lauren is a student, and then Alan Rooster. Welcome. You have 2 minutes.
Thank you. Good afternoon. My name is Hillary Garcia, and I'm a teacher in the district, but today I'm here as a mom. A month ago, my shy, quiet 13-year-old got her first taste of activism when she found out the chorus teacher at a high school near her would be cut. Emails were sent, and by the end of the day, the teacher's position was saved. My daughter and her friends were outraged that someone, somewhere, sitting in an office could just cut the programs and teachers that they love and need so much. Over the course of a weekend, they created a Facebook page, helped organize a singing demonstration, did media interviews, and presented speeches to the board. 1 month later, the focus of their efforts has changed to saving our teachers and our schools. They still face the uncertainty of losing teachers and losing the high-quality instruction that only a specialized teacher can provide. You see, a teacher is not a teacher, just like a doctor is not a doctor. I doubt seriously if you're having a heart attack, you want to see a podiatrist. You have reported that our district will be bankrupt by January if these cuts are not made. The budget is your job. You approve it every year. You approve every expenditure. You approve every unit allocation every year. There is no excuse for you to say you did not know the severity of the hole this district is in. If you inherited this financial crisis, then it was up to you to review the situation we were in and make budget decisions based on that knowledge. We are facing bankruptcy, yet you spend like we have money, renovating district offices, purchasing new vehicles for the school security, higher salaries for the superintendent and his larger cabinet of directors, and spending millions of dollars on curriculum that are questionable at best. You approved each of these expenditures. You are ultimately responsible for this situation, yet you are letting our children and teachers pay for your lack of action. When a school is considered failing by the state, they step in, let everyone go, and start over. What happens when a school board is failing? Thank you.
Thank you so much for your comments. Our next speaker is going to be Lauren Garcia, who's a student at Davidson Middle Center for the Arts. Welcome. You have 2 minutes.
Thank you. So I was here about a month ago talking about the arts being cut, and now I'm talking about all of the teachers being cut as well. With all the teachers being cut, when we go back in January, there are going to be overcrowded classrooms again, and that's not safe. And also, with all of those teachers being cut, a teacher is an amazing teacher when they have the proper amount of students. But as soon as you let all of the students in their classes, that teacher's focus shifts from one-on-one instruction to whole group. And some of the kids have had so many schedule changes already. Now they're having some now, And then again, when we go back in January, there's going to be more. And I'm not mad that the changes have happened because they do happen every year, but I'm mad about how they've happened and when they have happened.
Thank you very much. We appreciate your comments. And I believe the superintendent has a few things he's going to talk about with regard to that in a little bit. You got a list going there? Yes, ma'am. Okay, just checking. Our next speaker is going to be Alan Brewster, followed by Cassandra Miller and Jamie Saraceno. So, Mr. Brewster, welcome.
Alan Brewster, welcome to the board members and the superintendent. Superintendent, this is for you. There needs to be a platform with parents and students and the superintendent to talk about issues in their schools, in the district, and improvement on curriculum. There are two types of leaders. One is the stroke of the pen strategy leader, and the other is a behavioral change leader. The stroke of the pen leader fixes problems with the pen. The behavioral change leader fixes problems by getting the workforce to change their behaviors, the mindset, and the cultures. Warren Buffett said 4 essential things in life to, that's it.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And we also actually have Tina Williams as well. So I'm going to leapfrog you, if that's okay, to the next speaker, Ms. Williams, and then Cassandra Miller, and then Jamie Saraceno. So sorry about that, but Tina Williams and Alan Brewster were together, so I apologize. Welcome. You have.
I'm back, board. Welcome. My name is Tina Williams. I'm a mom of 6. 2 have already graduated from Hillsborough County, and unfortunately, I can't say that it was good. I'm back again. I was asked a question, and before I begin, this is my quote. Accountability only feels like an attack if you're not ready to be held accountable. Accountability only feels like an attack when you're not ready to be held accountable. I was asked a question, 2 things that I saw that would be able to make immediate effective change. Transparency. This school board, this district has not been transparent since COVID. It's COVID this and COVID that. And these are problems that existed before COVID. COVID isn't the only reason. COVID just showed us how bad the problems are. These are not new. COVID just exposed the weaknesses. Communication. Superintendent, I read every piece of literature that you sent out, but you forgot one thing. The stakeholders. What about the parents? We are the largest stakeholders. Our students are your commodities. Our students are your responsibility, and you have failed us. But you say, once again, COVID. Where is the transparency? Where's the effective communication? I'm still waiting. You all have failed to even update the website so that parents can stay informed. You've been in office over 100 days. The website still says the things of last year. Are you proud to be the 7th largest school district, but yet one of the 7th worst largest school districts in the nation? When is change going to happen? It's up to us as well as you.
Thank you so much for your comments. Perhaps we can address some of the website issues of the updates. I don't know if there's someone that can speak with her about any updates that haven't been done, but yeah, okay, thank you. All right, our next speaker is going to be Cassandra Miller, followed by Jamie Saraceno, and then Joshua Fishbein. Welcome. You have 2 minutes.
Good evening. Truth be told, I would rather be at home with my children tonight, but I cannot be. I have no choice than to come before the board and leaders in the district to share the stories of dozens of educators who have been silenced. As a mother, a taxpayer, a voter, and an advocate for children, it is my duty to be here tonight. I am a reasonable person. I understand a budget. I understand that each year unit cuts are made to meet the demands of the school year. But that's not what's happening. These cuts are severe and happening in what feels like the dead of night. Teachers barely have an opportunity to say goodbye to their students. Our children. This is different, and we all know it. I have to ask how Mr. Davis gave himself a raise as our children lose their beloved educators, their art teachers, music teachers, ELA teachers, gifted teachers, counselors during the most tumultuous time in many of their young lives. I anticipate I won't receive adequate answers because generally that's how these meetings go. Teachers pour their hearts out before the board, and Mrs. Snively says thank you as they exit, and their concerns are never addressed. The difference is you've messed with moms now. We are here. We aren't employed by you, and we aren't beholden to the district's gag orders. We can continue to speak out, and we will. And the words of Vivian Ward, big mistake, huge. You see, our educators have wrapped our children in their hearts, even when they can't wrap them in their arms. It's our turn now to be their voice, and we will do so with the fierceness of a mother. So now I'll read a recount of a teacher that really set me off. The decision to cut my unit came down to me and another teacher, who were approved by HR on the same day. We were both asked to come into the office on a Thursday and told the only fair way to determine who would be cut was to put both of our names into a bag and draw one out. Our names were dramatically put into a bag, and one was drawn out where we were both forced to sit there and watch. My name was drawn, and I was told I was going to the pool. My job is not a sort of lottery game. I am new to the district, but I have been teaching for 8 years. Thank you all.
so
Have a
much.
great night.
Thank you. We'll get down to the bottom of that lottery, Mr. Superintendent.
So, yes, ma'am, through the chair. Dr. Welling, do you want to address, practices? These are current, she'll talk about current practices within the district.
Okay.
We do have a tiebreaker process for folks that come down to the final. It's not
put your two names in a bag and pull one out.
Right. I mean, we do have to have them draw because we have to have a pick for when we have tiebreakers for dates.
Okay.
Been in place.
And it's the exact same date.
To the chair to be, go ahead.
Well, let's wait until public comment, but I believe that has
Past practice.
Yeah, we'll address that practice. All right, and have some questions answered. I think some school board members have some questions about that. So, okay. Thank you so much. All right, our next speaker is Jamie Saraceno, followed by Joshua Fishbein, and then Danielle Gray will be our last speaker today. Welcome. You have 2 minutes.
I'm Jamie Saraceno. I met you last time October 6th at the board meeting. Hope you guys remember me. My questions were somewhat answered. So, first, COVID commander. No experience, no contact tracing course, no public health, no medical background, and she's contact tracing, making our decisions for who's isolated and who's not. Why? She should not be appointed in that position. She's a principal, not someone that's going to tell who's isolated and who isn't. It's wrong. The Florida Department of Health should be involved first, not third. They should be the ones at the school doing the contact tracing. They know what they're doing. Your principals that you have in place doing this job, they can't take a couple classes and do this. So, my daughter wasn't on the bus for 15 minutes. So your COVID commander said she wouldn't even isolate my child. Wow. That's a guideline. Us as healthcare professionals know that's a guideline. So because she was on the bus for 14 minutes and 58 seconds, you don't isolate her when she sat next to the positive child and got COVID? Really? Thank you, Mr. Davis, for stopping and telling me our questions would be answered and asking how my daughter is. She's still short of breath after a month later. There should be calls through an automated system to let parents know that children are positive on the weekends. Bus drivers are to drive the bus. They're not responsible for seating charts. Why was a falsified seating chart produced? There should be a committee with parent, board member, Department of Health, doctors, administrator, educators to make this system work. We can do better. What's it going to take for us to do better? A child to die? Thank you.
Thank you for your comments, and we'll be addressing some of those questions a little bit later. Our next speaker is Joshua Fishbein, followed by Danielle Gray. Welcome. You have 2 minutes.
Good afternoon. My name is Joshua Fishbein, and I teach art at Canella Elementary School. Specials teachers are typically singletons at their site. We have to be there to facilitate brick and mortar and e-learning classes. We don't get the option of working in a safe environment. I have a valid medical reason for teaching remotely. I have a history of leukemia, the treatment for which has caused chronic health issues. The CDC says this puts me at an increased risk of severe illness, especially from COVID-19. Yet the school district has given me the ultimatum: be present on October 26th or take a leave of absence. What should I do? Clearly, you don't value me, or else you would have provided me with a viable alternative. Now, with all the cuts in art, music, PE, and a host of other areas that aren't happening, my 5 days at one school turn into a 3-2 split, which causes me to be exposed to 2 entirely different populations. Though I'm forced to work from my school, there are classroom teachers who don't need accommodations, who will be allowed to continue teaching e-learners from a safe distance. How fair is that? This school district lacks honesty and integrity. This district, where administrators openly tell teachers to focus on the bottom quartile of students to inflate test scores, where they have openly stated that they would rather pay fines for overcrowding than to pay another teacher's salary, where somehow our superintendent is allowed to create jobs for his buddies and give multi-million-dollar contracts to family members. It's the teachers and the staff who are doing the hard work. We are the ones working in the trenches, and now we are the ones getting shafted. Parents, families, I hope you're listening. This administration does not value you. Their bottom line is the dollar, and in the end, your children will suffer the most. I'm fed up and frustrated with this establishment. I am fed up with treatment of teachers and staff who make this school district run, because without us, you guys have nothing. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your comments. Our last speaker today is Danielle Gray. Welcome. You have 2 minutes.
I want to start off by saying good evening to the school board and Superintendent Davis. I'm a parent of a Hillsborough County student. He's in elementary school. He's in the 3rd grade, and he's taken about at least 3 different district tests in the last month or 2. And I have yet to get any scores on these tests, and I really don't understand the reason for these tests. Some of them are computerized, where the computer scores the test, and the teacher doesn't even seem to really have anything except a score. There's no details about right or wrong answers, just a score. One I want to talk about is the writing part of this test. My 3rd grader was given a writing prompt and expected to, on one sheet of paper, plan out what he was supposed to write about, and on another paper he was supposed to write an essay, I'm assuming, maybe a paragraph or 2. This was a 120-minute test. The whole time, which I do consider my child very articulate, he put all of his answers on one paper and did not write anything because he was kind of confused. Now, the whole time, the teacher is expected not to assist the child. The teacher can't redirect the child because these are, I guess, the instructions of the test. It's just totally for the child to read the prompt and figure it out on their own for 2 hours. Again, all the while, the teacher can't help in any way. My son, again, he is very articulate. As I just told you, he only wrote 2 sentences on his essay. Please let the teachers teach and not the computer.
Thank you. Mr. Superintendent, do we have anyone who can address some of her assessment concerns in the classroom? We appreciate that. Thank you, Mr. Connor.
Thank you.
All right, board members, just to kind of give you an idea of the flow, that was our last public comment. We are going to go through some recognitions and proclamations, which we have a few this board meeting, so that's going to take a few minutes. And then we will hit the consent agenda for a vote, and then the superintendent will have his comments, whereby we can ask some follow-up questions that you may like to pose after hearing some of the public comment and any other items that he has to present to us today. So thank you for your patience as we do have there's the, okay. Mr. Kona, you were supposed to remind me at 5:01 we have a public hearing. Sorry about that. So, okay, let me move to that. It's 5:16. Sorry, board members, we'll do that first. Sorry about that. This should be relatively fast. Okay. Okay, so We have a public hearing on the adoption for the new and revised policies. This is a requirement pursuant to the state law and board policy. This is an opportunity for any board member of the public to speak about the policies that are recommended for adoption by the board and to provide the board any input. The policies were advertised and have been available for public view. I'm going to now ask Mr. Porter, our school board attorney, to highlight this item, and then after the highlight, any member of the public may speak to provide input to the board on the proposed policies. Mr.
Thank
Porter.
you, Madam Chair. As you stated, these policies have been advertised. The board considered them in a workshop and decided which policies would go forward. The only policy that needs to be highlighted, you added a policy change to the fund balance that would take the requirement from 5% to 3%. The state requirement remains at 3%. Your fund balance policy, as we've discussed in the past, is very complex, and at some point the board is going to have a workshop and discuss that. But that's a question of whether you want to go forward with that policy to change it to 3% from 5%. Otherwise, the other policies are standard in which ones you've already considered.
So would it require a motion to remove that policy from the group of
Yes.
policies?
And if the option would be if you wanted to wait until you actually had a full-blown workshop on that particular issue to decide whether you wanted to change the policy or not. Otherwise, you would just need a motion for approval for the policies as presented.
Okay. And do we need public comment before the motion?
Yes, you do.
Thank you. Okay. So is there anyone from the public that is here to comment on the approval of or the adoption of these new and revised policies? It does not appear that anyone is here from the public to comment, so I'll now close public comments or the public hearing. So now I need a motion and a second to adopt policies. I have a motion by Member Stewart. Would you like to make a specific motion, or is it for all the policies to be adopted, including the fund balance
If
policy?
there's no objection, then all the policies.
Except for the fund balance policy, or all policies?
There's only a minor change in the fund balance policy, and that's at the pleasure of the board. I'm not certain where you want to go, and we haven't discussed. So it is there. There's one minor change. It moves it from 5% down to 3%, which covers really,
Okay,
I think.
Hold on. There's a motion. Okay.
There's
okay. We can discuss it. It's okay. We can discuss it.
So
the motion is though to adopt all the policies as they are, as they've been brought forth.
that would be my motion with discussion.
Okay, so I need a second before we can discuss. So is there a second to move second to the motion to adopt all the policies as they've been brought forth to the board? Okay. All right, it's okay. Would you like to withdraw your motion? I'm not seeing a second. So, all right, I'll entertain a new motion.
So if the board wishes to adopt the other policies, you could move to adopt all the policies presented except for the policy on fund balance. That could be a motion.
Would that be your motion, Ms. Stewart?
I can make that motion. That's fine.
Okay. Do I have a second? Member Gray is going to second that motion. Now we can have some discussion on that if you'd like. Is there any board member discussion on the approval of those policies brought forth to us except for the fund balance policy? Member Gray?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Is this for discussion?
Yes.
So I would prefer that we have a time of workshop to pursue this with discussion. I think it's only fair also as we head towards the new election coming up.
Okay. Very good. Thank you, Ms. Gray. Any other comments? Okay. So thank you. Comments are closed at this time. And so if there's no further discussion, please vote, board members, when your lights appear. Ms. Perez, is it working? Is your button working over there?
I'm a bit confused on what we're voting on.
So we're voting, the motion was on the floor to approve all of the policies brought forth except for the fund balance change, to change to the fund balance policy. Ms. Gray mentioned, and I think there's some consensus that we'd like to have a workshop prior to that, changing anything in that board policy, and so we're just voting on the rest of the policies. Okay, so it is a unanimous board. Thank you.
Madam Chair, if I could, I'd just like to acknowledge Kristen Davis, who did the bulk of the work for making sure they were properly noticed and bringing everything forward to you, and she deserves acknowledgement for that.
Thank you so much, Mr. Porter, and thank you, Ms. Davis, for all your assistance. And we'll look forward to that policy workshop on the fund balance discussion. Okay, now we're going to move into recognitions and proclamations. And the first proclamation to adopt this evening is going to be the Native American and Alaskan Native Heritage Month, which is November 2020. And Dr. Hahn will be presenting the proclamation this evening.
Thank you, Chairwoman Snively. It's my honor to present this proclamation this evening recognizing Native American and Alaska Native Heritage Month. The efforts to gain recognition for the significant contributions of our first Americans can be traced back more than 100 years. These efforts were further solidified in 1990 when President George H.W. Bush approved a joint resolution designating November 1990 as National American Heritage Month. Similar proclamations under variations of the name, including Native American Heritage Month and National American Indian and Alaskan Native Heritage Month, have been issued since 1994. During November, the school board encourages school-based administration and staff to thoughtfully plan culturally sensitive school-wide activities and lessons for students that further explore the history and cultures of Native American and Alaskan Native people. The board acknowledges the importance of honoring these contributions, achievements, and cultural and historical legacy of the Native American and Alaskan Native people. I need a motion and a second to adopt the proclamation for Native American and Alaskan Native Heritage Month, November 2020.
Thank you, Dr. Hahn. We have a motion by Member Stewart and a second by Member Kona. Is there any discussion on this proclamation? Seeing none, board members, please vote when your lights appear. Member Gray, we need your vote. Thank you, ma'am, and it is unanimous, board members, so congratulations. All right, our next, and thank you again, Dr. Hahn. Our next adoption of a proclamation is going to be National School Psychology Week, November 9th through the 13th, and Member Perez is going to be presenting this proclamation today.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Through the proclamation, Hillsborough County Public Schools would like to recognize the week of November 9th through the 13th, 2020 as National School Psychology Awareness Week. This week recognizes the important role school psychologists serve in helping students, families, educators, and members of the community understand and resolve both long-term chronic problems and short-term issues that students face. Schools can be more effectively ensured that students are able to learn when they meet the needs of the whole child and provide integrated, multi-tiered support. School psychologists are trained to assess students and school-based barriers to learning, as well as individual strengths, utilize data-based decision-making, implement research-driven prevention and intervention strategies, and evaluate outcomes and improve accountabilities. I need a motion and a second to adopt the proclamation for National School Psychology Week, November 9th through the 13th.
Thank you, Member Perez. We have a motion by Member Perez and a second by Member Stewart to adopt the proclamation for National School Psychology Week, November 9th through the 13th. Is there any further discussion on this? Ms. Perez?
Yes. But wait, there's more board members. If you remember, board members, last year I presented legislation along with Representative Valdez for Mental Health Days. With that said, mental health is important at every stage of life. That includes our emotional, psychological, and social well-being. It affects how we think, feel, and act. It also helps determine how we handle stress, relate to others, and make choices. I'd like to share with some really exciting news related to the emotion and mental well-being of our students. We are about to launch an initiative that allows our students to take mental health days. Today, just a sneak preview. More information will be forthcoming in the next couple of weeks. Mental Health Days is an effort to support our students and promote their strong mental health and well-being. If a student presents a mental health issue and takes advantage of Mental Health Days, parents and guardians will be encouraged to contact the student services staff at their student schools for additional support. These are school counselors, school psychologists, and school social workers. What are the reasons a student may use mental health days? To obtain mental health counseling by a community provider to address physical or psychological concerns. Another is to address their well-being with a family. And thirdly, to address time to seek appropriate professional care to help with coping skills for stressors of life. But please remember, students should not be left alone if having thoughts of suicide. If this is ever the case, parents and guardians should immediately reach out to emergency services if there is a risk to the students or others. With that said, the Crisis Center of Tampa Bay has a 24/7 hotline to provide support. Dial 211 or call 1-800-273-TALK. That's 8255. And I'm real excited to work along with our team of mental health counselors, along with our superintendent, Addison Davis, to promote this initiative. Thank you.
Thank you very
board
much.
members.
Thank you for presenting that information, Member Perez. And now, board members, if there's no further discussion, we do need to vote. Please vote when your lights appear. And this is the proclamation for National School Psychology Week. And it passes unanimously. Congratulations. The next proclamation to adopt is American Education Week, which is November 16th through the 20th. Member Gray will be presenting this proclamation. Member Gray?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Public education is the backbone of our democracy, providing young people with the tools they need to maintain our nation's precious values of freedom, civility, and equality. Public education employees work tirelessly to serve our children and communities with care and professionalism, whether they are teachers, counselors, custodians, bus drivers, clerical, or food service professionals, health and student service professionals, resource teachers, or media specialists. Public schools are the foundation of neighborhoods and communities, bringing together adults and children, educators and volunteers, business leaders and elected officials in a common enterprise. I need a motion and a second to adopt the proclamation for American Education Week on November 16th through the 20th, 2020.
Thank you, Member Gray. Board members, we need a motion and a second.
And
for this adoption, would you like to make the motion? Member Gray and Member Perez seconds that motion. Is there any discussion? You have some discussion points?
We'll just add a little bit.
Yes, go ahead, Member Gray.
Madam Chair. I just want to say a few statements on behalf of our teachers and our counselors. This is truly in the midst of the COVID crises, the unit losses, mental strife, and all the other relevant points of information that we're receiving as a board, at least for my own self. I mean, truly, each of our teachers and counselors, staff, principals, work miracles each and every day. And I just want to say that each of you are valued for many reasons. As individuals, you are in front of our children for 2/3 or more out of the day, and yet serve those long hours year after year without seeing an equivalence of salaries many times. Your individuals are extending day after day enthusiasm, positive energy, and academic preparations for our children, all attributes which are difficult to find in any other profession. As professionals with degrees and professional development plus years of experience, all qualities which everyone should highly recognize and highly extol as true educational stewards. As individuals who connect with our students' social and emotional needs, which in effect make each of you saviors for our students, many who are emotionally compromised on a daily basis. In closing, we are reminded of your value from the late Dr. Earl Leonard, who has said frequently in his time of office as superintendent, teachers are the engine that drive the train of our Hillsborough County School District. And I just want to say that I speak for the board that we appreciate your hard work day after day as we do our counselors, staff, support personnel, and our principals. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Member Gray. Very poignant words from the late Dr. Earl Leonard. Members, if there's no further discussion, please vote when your lights appear for the American Education Week proclamation. And it passes unanimously. Thank you, board members. Thank you, Member Gray. Our next proclamation is going to be for the National Education Support Professionals Day, which is November 18th. And that's going to be by Vice Chair Kona.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and I'm honored to present this proclamation for all of our educational support professionals. They are an integral part of the educational process. They consist of clerical workers, custodians, maintenance service, food service, health and student services, paraeducators, security services, skilled trades, technical services, and transportation services, among others. Educational support professionals contribute to a safe and healthy learning environment for students, shaping the welcoming culture that helps students feel empowered to do their very best. Today, nearly 3 million ESPs work in our nation's public schools, colleges, making up 1/3 of the public education workforce. Our ESPs work tirelessly to serve our children and communities with care and professionalism. So with that said, I need a motion and a second to adopt the proclamation for National Education Support Professionals Day, November 18th, 2020.
I believe you wanted to make that motion, Mr. Kona. Okay. And then Ms. Stewart seconds that motion. Is there any discussion, board members? All right. Seeing none, please vote when your lights appear. And it passes unanimously. Thank you, board members. Thank you, Chair Kona, Vice Chair Kona, excuse me. Okay, we have the next proclamation is for Hillsborough County Public Schools to observe and celebrate LGBT History Month. I hope I said that correctly. There's no Q on there. And then that's going to be presented by Member Stewart.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This proclamation is set to remind us, both the LGBTQ and wider communities, of important roles the LGBTQ people have taken in creating a social, legal, and political world we live in today. This month, as we recognize the immeasurable contributions of the LGBTQ Americans, we renew our commitment to the struggle of equal rights for the LGBTQ students and staff, and we are committed to the academic success of all youth and to removing the barriers to that end. And we believe that the LGBTQ youth should feel safe to learn without the fear of harassment. LGBTQ educators, students, and families should be supported to live an affirmative life with dignity and respect. Administrators, staff, teachers, parents, and students are encouraged to take part in the LGBTQ History Month in any way that is most positive and uplifting to their schools and communities, and to coordinate efforts to highlight exemplary role models from the LGBTQ community. I need a motion and a second to adopt the proclamation for the Hillsborough County Public Schools observation and celebration of LGBTQ History Month, October 2020.
Thank you, Member Stewart. I'm going to assume you want to make the motion for that.
Yes, please.
Okay,
Thank
Member
you.
Stewart and Member Schamberger as a second. Thank you. Is there any discussion by board members? Member Perez.
Yes, I so appreciate this this proclamation. My daughter is from the LGBT community. She was brought up through the Hillsborough County Schools, and she was very respected in the Hillsborough County Schools. And I know, and this was years ago, and because of her being honored through Hillsborough County Schools, she's now a professional doing really good, in her life. Very professional up in New York, doing incredible because of her being embraced here in Hillsborough County. So the fact that we have this, here shows how when you honor someone, no matter who they are, they do well in life. So I so appreciate this proclamation, and I thank you for bringing it forward.
Thank you, Member Perez. Member Stewart?
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I believe you talked to communications, but this was, there's a correction, a Scribner's correction that needs to be made in this proclamation, so if we can take care of that.
We sure did. Thank you so much. Are there any other comments or questions with regard to this proclamation? Seeing none, board members, please vote when your lights appear. All right, thank you, and it passes unanimously. Thank you, board members. So, and I'm going to go a little off script, so I apologize for putting you on the spot, Mr. Superintendent. We have some guests, I think, from the African American Task Force that are here. So before we move on, I know we've got some other business to take care of, and that's coming in your superintendent comments, but I would like to not make them wait much longer to participate in your superintendent comment that you were going to make during your presentation. Is it okay if we go ahead and
Sure. Yes,
do
ma'am.
that?
I have a PowerPoint that's linked to it.
Okay. I did.
Is one.
I have one more proclamation,
Yes,
but I thought since
I
we
can
have
do
to,
it. Yes, ma'am. Yes,
we
ma'am.
would do that. Yeah.
All right.
So, is that okay?
Yes, ma'am. It's fine.
Okay. We just need to queue up the PowerPoint. Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
Okay. I'm gonna try to get to it if we had to rearrange. Okay. One of the biggest things that as you know, during the the time of March and throughout this pandemic, we've truly faced a trying time with our community, not only with Hillsborough County, but throughout the state and throughout this nation. And, I hats off to, Hillsborough County. I know Ms. Gray was actively engaged with Mr. Hearns to really put together a task force to address, a lot of elements within our organization, not only one that's built on making certain that we have thriving curriculum, but being able to continue to educate, our community and our students about African American, history within this organization. So overall, to give you some historical perspective, Mr. Hearns has been an educational advocate from day one that I've met him for many, many, many years. He's been, he's worked collaboratively with this cohort, this task force, to really bring some, innovative solutions to our county, to be able to think differently and be able to continue to find proactive solutions to push our children, to educate them about rich, diverse histories. He's also been, to make certain that we're champion not only curriculum that's identified by the state, but being able to grow legs to give accurate information to our students within our organization. And he's also, he continues to make certain that we fight and we educate about social unrest, to be able to make certain that we are addressing social justice, and being able to, continue to celebrate racial differences within our classrooms and also within our communities. And he's been just such an awesome champion in this. So I'm going to let Mr. Hearns talk about the vision and mission for this, how he came about, and I will transition to our slides as you're able to speak to this.
I'm just going to say just one statement, because Fred and this wonderful committee, all these committee members they need to speak. Thank you, Superintendent Davis and Mr. Connor, right away, because you have been behind this initiative from the get-go. And I just have always felt that, this is the teacher in me, that when we teach our children, we have to have a curriculum that is emblematic of the needs of our children and represents their culture. And as we have grown in the years since I first started teaching, our demographics have changed, much so that unfortunately our curriculum hasn't embraced the Black history, African American history, which Fred will speak on. And it's high time that we move that needle. Not only that, but the rigor. We want to add dignity to each of these students with coursework that is going to be challenging to them, that they can take a dual enrollment. Again, that's been formed in our HCC and AP course, which Superintendent Davis also is behind. So without further ado, my partner in crime right away, Fred Hearns. I'm sure most of you know. Fred, you take over.
Thank you, Ms. Gray, and thank you to Mr. Davis and to the other members of this board, Terry Connor, all of the administrators who've been meeting with us for the last 8 months. One of the best kept secrets, I guess you could say, in Hillsborough County. But today we're very honored to roll out the Hillsborough County African American History Task Force. You can see the vision and the mission. I won't read those words, but you can see what we're focusing on. And we know that I'm very happy to just repeat some of the words Board Member Perez just said. When you honor someone, you help them do well in life. And we know that when we teach our children their history, and not only African and African American children, but all of our students, that we all do well. And we can really begin to eliminate that ugly thing known as the achievement gap, which has been a thorn in our side, not just in Hillsborough County, but all throughout the nation. So we started meeting back in March, February, right? Black History Month. Exactly. That was the last time I was before this board. We have 14 different organizations, local organizations, that are represented in our task force. I do need to mention them because they work very hard. The Association for the Study of African American Life and History, Jack and Jill of America, Bethune-Cookman University Alumni Association, Florida A&M University Alumni Association, Teaching for the Culture, the National Pan-Hellenic Council, known as the Divine Nine, and these are all the fraternities and sororities that represent African American universities and colleges throughout the nation. The Tampa Organization of Black Affairs, known as TOBA, the Saturday Morning Breakfast Group, SULA 2 Publishing, George S. Middleton High School Alumni Association, Howard W. Blake High School Alumni Association, and we have with us today Ross Anderson and two of the young men from Men of Vision, Kyron DeFreitas and Anthony Walker, Women of Vision, the Hillsborough Alliance of Black School Educators, known as HAPSI, and Keisha Parham is here representing HAPSI. If she could say just a word about the Black History Brain Bowl. But I also really want to thank Terry Connor, who came up with the idea of all of our schools, K through 12 in Hillsborough County, having clubs that can focus on promoting African and African American history. And as a task force, we decided to name those clubs Thurgood Marshall Clubs. And we all know what a great man Thurgood Marshall was and the impact he had on education. Saturday, March 6th will be our virtual Brain Bowl. And I want to thank Principal Mickey Body at Middleton High School. They will host the virtual Brain Bowl. So, Ross, if you could say just a word quickly. Yes. Ross, you're going to let the students go?
Good evening. I don't know if it's...
You may have to bend over a little to get into that microphone. So
I got the same problem.
Yeah, no, we're good. We're good. I just want to say thank you to Superintendent Davis, to School Board Member Gray, to Dr. Tirado and Mr. Connor for giving us the opportunity. I think it's important for us to give our input because ultimately students, we bring a unique perspective because we know students. We know what will appeal to us. We know what we will like. We know what we won't like. So we just want to thank you for the opportunity to give us our input. I also want to say thank you to my mom.
Smart.
Thank you to God. Thank you to Pops and Minivision, and also my administration at Spoto High School, if you can't tell.
I'm sorry, Spoto?
Yes, ma'am, Spoto High School.
And what is
So
your
if you
name?
see me, thank you, and thank all of you guys.
And what was your name again?
Anthony Walker. And I do hope you have a good night. All right.
Thank you.
I just want to further what he said. Thank you for everybody. Thank you for all the board members allowing us to do everything that we're doing and allowing us to close that achievement gap, as we feel that there should not be one at all. That should every student in Hillsborough County should excel. On behalf of Minivision, I know we're presenting Mr. Our superintendent, Mr. Davis, with this right here.
Oh, nice.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Thank you. All right.
We may have to recess so you can switch out your tie.
I'll get my game on. It looks good. Thank you, sir.
Not jelly beans, but
all right. Any further comments on the? All right.
But I just want to also thank diversity, our wonderful diversity leader, Monica, there at Torado, for really coordinating with Mr. Terry Connor, who will speak later. But I just wanted to do a special thanks to you as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Gray.
Oh, boy.
Oh, watch the earring.
Oh, it's stuck.
Oh, no.
I'll do this side. How about
There
that?
we go.
All right. So, good evening again. We're just going to let it hang. That's what we do in the
That's
office.
fine.
You let it hang and you put it back on.
Long earring.
I am Keensha Parham, president of HAPSI, Hillsborough Alliance of Black School Educators, and I am the chair for the Black History Brain Bowl Committee. And normally the Black History Brain Bowl is organized by HAPSI. And with the school district support, we had about 7 to 10 middle schools come together and celebrate that event with sponsorships from the school district as well as Suncoast Credit Union and many others. But with the partnership of the task force, we are working diligently to make it a district-wide event, because Black history isn't just for Black people. It's a part of everyone's history and should be embraced and learned by all. As Black people, we have more to us and want everyone to know our Black excellence. And in addition to having it woven into the curriculum, the Black History Brain Bowl is a great place to do it. The Black History Brain Bowl, as was mentioned earlier, is virtually on Saturday, March 6th at 2021. Elementary, middle, and high schools will have separate competitions. Elementary schools will compete before March 6th with the top 5 teams in attendance for the middle and high school Brain Bowl. Questions will include Black history going all the way back to Africa, where we were kings and queens through present day, including questions on local members like James T. Hargret, Jr., who is a product of Hillsborough County Public Schools that served in the Florida House of Representatives and then in the Florida Senate. And even some of our Black leaders whom our schools are named after, like Armwood High School. Blanche Armwood was the first supervisor of Negro education in Hillsborough County and later practiced law. Students will prepare for the Black History Brain Bowl by studying the material they have learned in their history classes, reading books from their school's media center, or joining the Thurgood Marshall Club at their school. Information on how to participate will be coming soon and distributed to the schools. The Black History Brain Bowl is all about students. It is a sense of pride in knowing you came from greatness for Black students, unlike what is portrayed in the media. It is a platform to share with others the history of Black people and the many ways we have contributed to society. It is a great way for others to learn about a part of America's history that has been left out. And the Black History Brain Bowl is also a great way for community members to support students by volunteering, making a donation, or becoming a sponsor. It would be awesome for the students to see numerous community partners come together to show Black history and Black people are important in Hillsborough County and our community. So mark your calendars. See you at our virtual Black History Brain Bowl on Saturday, March 6, 2021. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Mr. Connor.
Well, good evening, board. There's not much to add to this, but just to give you a little update about the curriculum aspect. I want to thank our academic services team who has worked hard diligently. Daryl Saunders, I want to just give her a shout out, and the social studies team who have really taken the feedback that Mr. Hearns has provided around our curriculum in elementary, middle, and high. He's gone through all of our textbooks. He's provided recommendations, some good and some that he said we need to work on, and we definitely have taken that feedback. I'm excited about the resources that are available to us now, that we can make sure that we have culturally relevant materials for our students, and it's woven, as Ms. Parham said, into our curriculum. It's not something extra, but how do we make a robust curriculum where we celebrate diversity all the way back to the origins of Africa, as Mr. Hearns is, so eloquently says every time we meet. We don't just talk about African American history, we talk about from the origins of Africa and where it started. And so we're looking at all of that. I'm excited about our adoptions that are coming up. As you may know, we have an ELA adoption this year. And one of the things we're incorporating is a cultural response scorecard, where we look at each individual author, the characters. We're going to make sure that we have a true representation in our curriculum, not just in social studies, not just in ELA, but across the board, so that we have a very inclusive, robust experience for our students. So that's it from the curriculum side. We did mention one other thing around acceleration, and it's not just having African American accelerated dual enrollment courses, but it's also looking at providing access and opportunity to all of our acceleration courses, all AP, all of our IB programs. We need to see the demographics reflect that of our student body, and that's what we're focused on in this particular task force. So Mr. Hearns, Ms. Gray, everyone here, and everyone at home that is a part of this task force that's watching, we thank you for your work, and we look forward to it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Connor. Thank you so much, all of the members of the task force, for being here this evening to talk about this important information. We appreciate all the effort and time that you put into it. We do have a comment from Member Schamberger.
Thank you so much for the presentation. We're certainly excited about the Brain Bowl. I'm just reminded of the work that this board did in going through the rigorous process of renaming Van Buren Cahoon to Dr. Carter G. Woodson, who is the father of Black history. And in dealing with Tina Middleton and Asala, their commitment to that was the Brain Bowl. So it's very exciting to see this finally come to fruition. But when we talk about history, it's very important that we talk about history. And as Mr. Hearns stands before me, he may recall poet Audre Lorde, who says the master's tools will never dismantle the master's house. And when we talk about having genuine change, then we need to have genuine change. And this is really directed for you, Mr. Superintendent. I want to give you a little bit of quick history about what has happened for generations here in this district. There was no acknowledgement tonight, so I'd like to acknowledge all of the trailblazers who got us here today. Beginning back in 1994, when Senator Hargret, and also State Rep Bradley put forth legislation to infuse African and African American studies into everyday curriculum. That legislation was amended in 2000, and I made a quick note, I think 2001. So it's Florida Statute 1003.42, and it states that teachers shall teach efficiently and faithfully using the books and materials required to meet the highest standard and professionalism. And then it goes on from there. Hillsborough County School District in 2016 received exemplary status from the state of Florida for its African American studies, which was kind of what do you call it, like an extra class? I'm sorry, it's skipping my brain. Elective, thank you. So sorry. And so, but since 2016, Mr. Superintendent, nothing has really happened. There's been no fidelity in the process. There's not been a lot done. And so since 1994, there actually has already been a task force here in Hillsborough County Public Schools consisting of the Honorable Doretha Edgecombe. I've been on that task force. Superintendent Akins was leading it with Dr. Collins, Saba Baptiste, Dennis Holt, a whole slew of district administration folks doing exactly what you're saying, which is good. And so this committee has been active for the last 4 years, and the baton is now passed to you to work with this new task force and also the existing task force. There's a group of teachers in Hillsborough County Public Schools that has developed curriculum and PD that's already been on the books. It's never been implemented with fidelity. So I am excited, though, about this renewed effort to make sure that the work is done. When we talk about genuine change, we can't work in silos. We have to work together. So I thought it was very important. While I'm so super excited about this new work, we must pay homage to those who for decades who've been right here in our school district fighting this very battle. Mr. Connor, I wanted you to know that little bit of history as well. And so, and also Dr. Minerva Spano-Morrow, our past chief diversity officer. She was also involved in that task force. Dennis Holt again, and also Pat Cruz and a couple other folks. So just wanted to make sure that they're recognized. Thank you so much for what you're doing to get this Brain Bowl going. It's going to be absolutely phenomenal. I enjoyed Brain Bowl when I was in high school, and I think it's going to be a great success. So thank you guys so much for bringing that forward.
Thank you. Thank you again for being here this evening. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Madam Chair, for allowing us to speak so long. We're just going to take a quick photo. Thank you.
Sure.
Addison?
Ma'am.
All right. Thank you so much, board members, for allowing me to veer off a little bit. Just wanted to make sure our guests were recognized, and I know that the meeting's a little bit longer, and we've got a few more proclamations than we normally do for our board meeting, so we'll continue to move on. The next proclamation is a proclamation I asked to be brought forth the last board meeting when we talked about National Principals Month, which is the month of October. And so I wanted to bring forth this proclamation to honor the 236 principals that we have in our school district. Their leadership, especially over the past year, has been extraordinary. And I always say school principals are not just the instructional leaders working with teachers to establish the high expectations, but they are the catalysts. They set the tone, they set the pace. They are the true CEOs of their school sites. And so school principals work to create a positive school climate that's inviting to students, families, and the community. They provide a safe and supportive environment where their students learn and grow and achieve. They're the leaders of their school families and responsible for the safety, health, education, and care of every single staff member and student on their campus. And so I just wanted to bring forth that recognition, and I'm going to pass the gavel over to Mr. Kona so that I can make the motion to approve this proclamation, and I'll give you my script if you want it. Yeah.
All right, I have a motion by Member Snively and a second by Member Stewart. Any discussion?
Did Member Gray want to?
Okay, Member Gray.
You know, a lot's been said about our staff and our principals, and I thank you, Madam Chair. Our principals are so critical. They do bring the necessary stability, the balance, and the academic success of our students. So I would suppose every one of us on the board want to also give them a great sign or expression of gratitude. They work 24/7, and so I know that they're in the hearts of all of us as educators and as board members. And I just wanted to say thank you to every one of our principals. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Gray. All right, board members, please vote when your lights appear. I hear someone. Okay. Sorry. Dr. Hahn, Member Gray. All right, there we go. All right, and it is unanimous. Thank you, board members, and thank you for your comments, and thank you to principals for everything that you are doing right now in these very challenging times. Okay, it is 6:01, and we have a time certain for our employee input. And so, Mr. Kona, I would like to ask you if you could talk about the guidelines for employee input for this evening, please. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. We will now take employee input. Even though we hear public comment at the beginning of the meeting, it is sometimes difficult for employees of our district to attend the meetings at 4 o'clock. There are many ways for employees to make their voices heard, including through union representation, emails, phone calls, one-on-one conversations, and public comment at the beginning of the meeting. The board wants to hear from you. With this section of our agenda, we are creating another avenue for employees to speak to the board. We are setting aside 30 minutes for employees to speak directly to the district and to the board about any issues that are on your mind. This is not intended to be a discussion about a specific agenda item on tonight's meeting, but rather an opportunity to speak to the board about any issues related to your job or the school district. Each speaker will have 3 minutes. And we'll now call our first 3 speakers.
Thank you, Mr. Kona. We do have 10 speakers at 3 minutes apiece for the 30 minutes that we've allotted for employee input, so we'll hit that right on the number. Our first 3 speakers are going to be Emily Lee, Greta Patenod, and Debbie Newhouse. And I hope they're all here. Are they all? Emily Lee. All right, so welcome back, Ms. Lee. You have 3 minutes.
Thank you. I'm back as a teacher. The word semantics refers to language used to achieve a desired effect on an audience, especially through the use of words with novel or dual meanings. Semantics also deals with context. Words do not exist in a vacuum. You have 2 audiences you've been trying to influence: the public and the principals and district administrative staff. You're taking advantage of the fact that the general public and parents don't know how the system works and are providing them with falsehoods on what their child's education actually looks like. You're connecting the cuts with the business world and trying to gain sympathizers from outside of the educational system this way. The context is not correct here. This is not the business world. The school year is now 1/4 over, and the kids have mostly just done testing. There's no possibility of social distancing. The classrooms are packed. Parents sent their kids back to school to get an education and support, not to be a number as a part of your new inflated ratios to cost save. Your choices have added to this deficit and the trouble we are in. The board sat idle as the budget got voted on month after month, and the balance dropped further and further. Then addressing the principals, you're insisting they use language and words like units and to stick to the talking points. This is nothing more than a way to dehumanize what you are doing to real people, real teachers that teach students and influence them every day. Transparency is not telling principals to keep their teachers quiet. Transparency is not telling principals to not share information with their staff. The teachers that work in this district should not be scared to stand up here and speak. And that's what's being passed. They are being threatened and scared, and it's absolutely wrong. I work at a transformation school for the district. On the website, there's detailed information about the extra support that transformation networks will receive. Some things referenced are to ensure that rigorous, high-quality instruction can happen, that disruptions to systemic barriers to elevate educational experiences and build a sense of optimism in each school community. As we continue to possibly lose more resources and do more with less, there's no optimism. Boxing our kids into the same program scripted lessons does not lead to deep engagement. Full-time student services teams are supposed to be available. They're there on paper, but they're getting pulled and stretched to multiple schools to fill vacancies. Our social worker is on leave. We may not have a guidance counselor anymore. Our academic coaches and our specialists, they're covering vacant classes. There's an audience that you're leaving out, a crucial third audience that you overlook every time you make a decision to lie to the public. That audience is the teachers who actually know and see what's going on every day, or we used to. At this point, people don't know what's going on from day to day because things are operating in a way that provides no transparency whatsoever. We are all not spreading misinformation. Your handling of our district and ultimately our children is reprehensible.
Thank you. I'm sorry.
Stop attempting to gaslight highly degreed and certified individuals.
Thank you for your time. That we need to make sure that, are we ready for the, okay. The apologies, the 30-second warning did not go off for that speaker. My apologies. Okay, our next speaker is Greta Patanod, followed by Debbie Newhouse, and then Carrie Shashak. Welcome. You have 3 minutes, I think.
I'm the ESOL teacher, and I'm the 10th grade remedial reading teacher for at-risk students at Robinson High School, and I advocate for the voiceless. Superintendent Davis, your term began with the vacancy for the ESOL supervisor, and there are consequences for not having filled that position until this month, October. ELL support classes were cut because ESOL certified teachers lacked the reading endorsement, and the state shortened the compliance window by 1 year. And these classes teach students basic English language skills. And the classes were then recreated using out-of-adoption textbooks with no online resources. And I brought this to district attention over the summer that ESOL students were not receiving equitable resources. Language arts is designed by grade level, while ESOL aligns to language proficiency. My 11th and 12th grade new arrivals are tracked into classes that do not provide the remediation needed. And this is because the language arts supervisor made these decisions without input from the experts or the ESOL supervisor. And during quarter 4, Title III funded Chromebooks were used for e-learners, and they have not returned to my ESOL classroom, and I need them for instruction, for programs, and Canvas. Now the cuts have come, and they've affected the ERTs. Retirees are not being replaced, and the rest of us are overburdened. And this jeopardizes our ability to be compliant with the Florida State Consent Decree and funding. You continue to support charter schools and voucher programs, siphoning off resources that are used to educate a diverse community. And many parents don't have the skills or knowledge to advocate for their children, so I will. So to repeat, number 1, superintendent, you failed to hire the ESOL supervisor until a couple of weeks ago, making it appear that non-English speaking immigrant students are not your priority. 2, the district failed to provide appropriate online resources to create curriculum for e-learning ESOL students. Number 3, Hillsborough County fails to listen to experts on how to best teach these English deficient students, and they take away the resources without replacing them. Number 4, leaders have failed to protect the positions of the teachers in this county who advocate on behalf of these students. And so number 5, therefore, these ESOL department employees are failing to comply with the Florida State Consent Decree, jeopardizing valuable funding for our schools to support the needs of our students. And lastly, this neglect is harmful to all English language learners, which include immigrants and International Coalition military guests, green card holders, Puerto Rican American citizens, and all non-native English-speaking children of Hillsborough County who are enrolled in our schools. So please lead to fix these deficiencies. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Mr. Superintendent, do you have one of your staff members that can address some of the concerns that she had? Mr. Connor? Thank you. Our next speaker is Debbie Newhouse, followed by Carrie Shashak, and then Tina Mosley. Welcome. You have 3 minutes.
Thank you, Board Member Snively and everyone else, and good evening, Mr. Davis. It's a pleasure to talk in front of all of you. I just want to begin by saying how happy I am to work at the site that I work at. I'm a teacher. I'm a media specialist. I just switched from classroom to media specialist, and I work at Crestwood Elementary, and I'm very happy to work there. I want to begin by saying that. And I want to thank you, particularly Ms. Perez, for working to promote mental health, the LGBTQ, IA, all of that stuff. I personally have family members that identify in that group, and after hearing some of their stories, I know how important that is. And I want to thank you and the remainder of the board for working to promote those kinds of not issues, but mental health, in order to bring them aware and make these students know and feel that they are welcomed and supported within the district. That's very important. As is the mental health of everyone, all of our students. Coming from me personally, I was all about band. I was very much into the performing arts, and I know how important music education is, and my son is very interested in arts and art education, and he's quite gifted with the pencil, and both drawing and writing. And all of these skills and all of these, what I want to say, electives, we'll say, are so important in being able to teach the whole child in everything that they do, in every aspect of their lives, because while somebody may not feel comfortable in the classroom learning in their reading class or in their math class, they might excel at something else, and that something else, giving them that feeling of power and ability to feel exceptional at what they do in that thing, is so important for those people, for those students. And I just want to say thank you for saying that you were going to save music and art and save those positions, and trying to find a way to help to do that. The more we can do to save that, the better. The more we can do to promote mental health, the better. The more we can do to help protect our students, the better. And that brings me to my next point, which has to do with a comment that was made about the deprofessionalization of education that was made by somebody on this board back in the summer. And when you look at trying to do that, when you look at trying to hire people out of field, then you risk losing all of that which you're working to try to save, because those people were not trained on how to do those things, and then you end up at square one. And I needed to say something about that. So
thank you for your comments. We appreciate that. Our next speaker is going to be Carrie Shashak, then Tina Mosley, and then Stephanie Roy. Welcome. You have 3 minutes.
Thank you. My name is Carrie Shashak, and I'm a proud teacher here in Hillsborough County, and I'm actually a product of Hillsborough County Schools. I went to Lutz Elementary, I went to Potter, I went to Young, I went to junior high back in the day at Buchanan. I graduated from Gaither. I am rooted here. Matter of fact, I'm teaching in my 5th grade classroom. I teach 6th grade at Lutz K-8, and I'm actually teaching in the classroom where I went to 5th grade, which is incredible. So tonight, I'm not here to talk about myself. I'm actually here to talk about my husband, who is also a teacher, and he is rooted here in the community. He has taught at Walker Middle Magnet for 19 years, and he has gone to students' sports games, bar mitzvahs, birthday parties, plays. He is rooted in the community. And sadly, last week, we found out, as a highly effective, nationally board certified, master's degree, certifications in just about anything, reading endorsed, ESOL endorsed, gifted endorsed, his unit was lost, or cut, I'm sorry, and he was going to the pool. As you can probably imagine, our world turned upside down. I have 2 children that are also here in the community. One is at Gaither High School, and one is with me in middle school at Lutz K-8. Sorry. I move a lot. I'm Italian. I know that there's budget cuts. I know it's a difficult time, but you cannot imagine the stress, the heartbreak, as we know that we have to go on Friday after school to pack up 19 years to go somewhere in the county. We don't know where. And we have to start all over. And I say we because I worked at Walker for 14 years before I moved to Lutz K-8. We are a community. The student that spoke today, Reagan, her mother reached out to us to let us know that Kyle was her favorite teacher on September 15th. I want you to know that he inspired her. He's not a teacher who just sits behind his desk and talks football. He is a teacher who inspires children on history. I wish I had a teacher like that because I hate history. I hate going on vacations with him because I have to learn. It's a true story. But I'm really concerned because I know he's not the only person who has made a commitment to a school community and made a difference for these children. And it feels like they're being ripped away. It really does. And everybody's going to have to start over. And in this year of a pandemic, we have all had so much stress. There's stuff that's going on at home that nobody knows about. I want to thank you for your time. Thank you for listening.
Thank you for being here this evening, both of you. And I know the superintendent is going to be addressing some of your concerns in a little bit. Our next speaker is Tina Mosley, followed by Stephanie Roy, and then Johnny Green. Welcome. You have 3 minutes.
Correction, it's Teresa Mosley. Okay.
I'm sorry, Teresa Mosley, it was written.
Good evening to our distinguishing school district Hillsborough County board members, our Honorable Superintendent Addison Davis, stakeholders, parents, community partners, and the faith-based education advocates. I am an employee of Hillsborough County Schools. For over 20 years, working in innovative type schools, charter schools, faith-based schools, and the public school district. As a status as a teacher, paraprofessional, tutor, and mentor. At this time, as an employee, I'm asking that you please consider senior citizen parents rearing K through 8th grade students during this pandemic. They come to me, they have difficulties understanding Canvas. They have honor roll, AP students in middle school taking high school classes who are locked out of the e-learning system. I didn't quite believe it until the grandmother who's suffering from cancer, she attends faith-based organizations, and she has reared at least 5 grandchildren in the Hillsborough County schools. This year she came to me in tears. I cannot attend my radiation treatments because I'm concerned about my last granddaughter. She's an honor roll student. She cannot get into the system. Her grade point average now is a 5%. Grandmother said, is there a way that the school district can allow her to attend a school close to home? When I go to therapy, or when the mother, who's estranged at this time, comes by, or a member from the faith base can come by and pick her up from school, please let them know if her choice can be Young Middle Magnet or Orange Grove Middle Magnet. The granddaughter said she was not allowed to change from e-learning to brick and mortar. I do not have those facts, but I'm here voicing for the senior citizens who are parents. I work in schools that are tough. We are at a community school with an outstanding principal, but we cannot do this alone. I'm asking the school district to please attend to those concerns. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much for your comments and your feedback. Our next speaker is going to be, thank you, Ms. Bays. Our next speaker is going to be Stephanie Roy, and then Johnny Green, and then Wesley Mejia. Welcome. You have 3 minutes.
Thank you.
So I'm Stephanie Roy. I teach elementary music at HVK 12. I'm really happy to be working there. It's a great program, but I'm really sour about everything, as you can see from all of the lemons on my dress. Super sour about how I have been treated, about how my colleagues have been treated, about how my Facebook feed filled with people saying, I just got cut. I just got cut. I just got cut. With no notice, nothing. So let's talk about broken promises. Over the summer, teachers and staff were told that we would not be forced back if our health would be in jeopardy. We watched the numbers, read studies, and tried not to be concerned about the rates of infection in our state and community. We were told to claim if we had health concerns and to apply for accommodations. Many of us did that, despite being concerned that information would be used against us. I decided that my health and the health of my family was worth that risk. Fast forward to pre-planning. We went back to work without a clear plan of what work was even going to look like, because you had not decided when our start date was and whether or not we were going to be brick and mortar e-learning. We went back, and I get a call from my principal because I did not go back. I worked from home. And she had just had an area meeting with Superintendent Davis, like a principal's meeting. And many administrators wanted to know how to handle special area teachers with health concerns. What you might not know is that in addition to me being an excellent, highly effective music educator, I also facilitate the planning times for grade level teachers. I was told then that you said it wasn't financially possible to protect us. No solutions proposed, just that it was too expensive to protect my health. That was broken promise number one. I had to make a very hard decision to leave my school and students that I love. I was already working so hard to build a program that included a course for children in grades 2 and 3, a course for children in grades 4 and 5, a world drumming group for grades 4 and 5, and a rock band for grades 4 and 5. I did this all before school started. I got to work at 7 a.m. every morning with smiley, happy faces, and we made music for a half an hour, and then I sent them to breakfast and off to class. I organized the first Veterans Day program and Black History Month program. None of this was a part of my regular instruction. I had to leave that developing program and those wonderful students for my health because you all broke your promise. Then last month, there was talk about canceling several arts programs. We came out, showed our support, and we were told that arts program would not be cut.
I'm sorry, we're out of time. I'm so
When
sorry.
you cut teachers, you cut programs.
Thank you. Thank you so much for your comments. I'm sorry about the time. Our next speaker is Johnny Green, followed by Wesley Mejia, and then I believe Dana Cook. I hope I said that right. Welcome, Mr. and entourage. You have 3 minutes. Thank you.
As we come here today for the proclamation of the ESPs, we had over 20 ESPs signed up to come here for the proclamation, but were afraid to show up just for the proclamation for this particular agenda item. That's not what this should be about. We have value in this district. Our ESPs are some of the first and last to lead the school. Our ESPs are paraprofessionals. They are aide, they are clerical, they are custodians, assistant teachers, with an AA assistant teacher, with a BA. They bring value to this district. Some of them feel like they are very unappreciated at school and by the school board. So we're here today to let the school board know that ESPs not only are essential, but valuable to this district. As we move forward, some of us don't understand that budget cuts, when this is the second time in the last 4 or 5 years that our ESPs may be getting cut or losing their job when they are working 2 jobs. So we understand the proclamation, but it's hard to accept the proclamation when it's not being showed on a daily, weekly basis. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your comments. Our next speaker will be Wesley Mejia, followed by Dana Cook, and then Kara Martin Howard. Welcome. You have 3 minutes.
Thank you. Good evening, school board members, Mr. Superintendent. Ms. Snively, if I may, I'd like to thank you for pronouncing my last name correctly. The following, I prepared a few words, and it primarily addresses our community members that we serve, and I'd like to read them verbatim if you will allow me. How will the budget cuts affect children and their families? One of these teachers affected by the cuts may be a child's favorite teacher, and perhaps this teacher's class is where that child has the best grades. This teacher may be where that child is experiencing the most amount of learning. The feeling of being successful and safe for that child may motivate him or her to desire success in their remaining classes. Intrinsic motivation is a powerful narcotic. That child's favorite teacher can make the most of a difference in that child's learning and ultimately their life. However, the budget cuts will prevent this from ever happening. The budget cuts may save money in the budget, but these cuts are not conducive to the success of public school education. The cuts are not contributing to the success of children in education. These budget cuts will not contribute to the goal of closing the achievement gap. Instead, it will perpetuate it. These cuts will continue to disenfranchise our low socioeconomic families. This is a form of injustice. Low socioeconomic families are already at a disadvantage. These families live paycheck to paycheck. These families count on our schools, count on our teachers to make up for the difference in hopes that their children may find enrichment and ultimately success in the form of establishing a better life than their parents. Isn't that what all parents desire? To provide within their means a better life for their children. How will the budget cuts affect teachers and public schools as a whole? These budget cuts mean that when hundreds of positions are cut, the other classes will be filled with a lot of students for the remaining teachers. This means that other classes or periods will add more students, raising the student classroom size from 20 to 25 to 30 to 35 or even more. Research suggests that small classroom sizes is a big contributor to student achievement. Overall, research shows that students in smaller classes perform better in all subjects and on all assessments when compared to their peers in larger classes. Please keep our teachers in our schools. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much for your comments. Our next speaker is Dana Cook, followed by Kara Martin Howard, and our final speaker will be Karen Hillary.
Good evening. My name is Dana Cook, and I'm a teacher at Riverview High School. Today I'm taking a break from my usual 9 to 11-hour day to speak to you. Listening to the last meeting, I became concerned about the language used to address, or more accurately, explain away teacher concerns. You see, language is kind of my jam. I have a degree in creative writing and secondary education, and I've taught all manner of English, language arts, and reading over the last 14 years as a teacher. At your last meeting, when teachers expressed their well-thought-out and completely valid worries about the overwhelming task of teaching this year, it was said that Superintendent Davis should, quote, clear up and, quote, clarify the concerns of my colleagues. This bothered me right away. In a purely denotative approach, to clear up means to solve or explain. Clarify is to make less confused and clearer. However, both contain a connotation and implies a lack of understanding on the part of the speaker. Therefore, from a rhetorical language standpoint, we are looking at the idea that when teachers express their concerns, they are being treated as though they are wrong and simply need to be set on the right path by those with higher knowledge. Ergo, the implied tone becomes somewhat belittling and not wholly conducive to the structure and purpose of speaking in this situation. And if that sounds like a mouthful, check out the English standards for high school. I want to make abundantly clear that when we get up and speak to you here, we are about as clear in our understanding and intentions as possible. We are not looking to be mollified by platitudes or condescended to. We simply want to be heard, but right now, it can feel like we are simply shouting our worries into a dark cave from which they shall never return. So why do any of us keep lighting a candle and attempt to enter the cave? Why am I even standing up here today? Because it is the right thing to do. My reality is similar to many of my colleagues. I plan on teaching until I retire, and that's about 25 years away. How can I, or any of us, not come here and try to make genuine effort to be heard and hopefully improve our future? I've even applied to become part of your teacher panel, Mr. Davis, in the hopes to a better decisions and a brighter future day. Please don't make me walk away from this meeting like I have so many others, wondering if you guys want the same. And I got this shirt a couple of years ago when we were working towards ending some contract negotiation issues. At some point, I'm really hoping I can retire my protest shirt.
Thank you very much for your comments. Our next speaker is Kara Martin Howard, and our last speaker will be Karen Hillary. Welcome. You have 3 minutes.
Greetings and salutations to you all. My name is Kara Martin Howard, and I work at Jefferson High School as a Credit Recovery Impact Lab Manager, and I am a proud ESP. Today you read the proclamation, but I want to make sure that you see what an ESP looks like. Not only am I an ESP, but also this wonderful gentleman here who cleans our lectern is an ESP. Our ESPs are bus drivers. Our ESPs are cafeteria workers. Our ESPs are not people who work because they can't do any better. A lot of our ESPs are well educated, but because being in the school system puts us near the future of what's going to happen, we passionately love what we do. So when decisions are made, I want to make sure when you read that proclamation that everybody knows on November 18th of 2020 that ESPs are those people who sometimes are overlooked. As Johnny brought out earlier, we're the first ones in the building, we're the last ones. Most of the time, teachers never see a student before we do. At least 2 to 3 ESPs touch a student come in contact with the student before they even get to a classroom. So I want you to make sure that you see us when you're thinking about cutting certain positions. It may not seem vital to you, but it could be important to someone else. So I'm a proud ESP. Your secretaries, those are ESPs. The people you may or may not see. If they're not a teacher, then most more than likely they are ESP. And ESP stands for Educational Support Professional. So if someone asks what an ESP is, I want to make sure that you know that that is an Educational Support Professional. We are professionals. This is our livelihood. This is our life. This is what we do. We want to be seen. We need to be heard because we also too have input on things that happen in the school. We know and see things that you all probably never would consider. We have access to things that you all probably wouldn't know about. And also with our students, we can look at our children and we know when something is wrong. We know if something is not right. And you may think that sometimes they just run to the teachers, but a lot of them have come to the nurses. They come to the secretaries because we know them, because also we are part of the community. So these are not just the children of some people. These are the children of all of us. And so ESPs, we want to make sure you know that the bus rider, the bus attendant, all of us are ESPs and we are here and we want to be seen. So on November the 18th, make sure that you appreciate an ESP and let them know we see you and we hear you. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your comments. And our last employee speaker this evening is Karen Hillary.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Is it okay if I take my mask off?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, you have 3 minutes.
Okay, I've been in Hillsborough County my entire life. I have been a student, I have been a parent, I've been a teacher, I have done it all. I've even been an administrator at times and stepped down from that position to take care of my kids. I have my teaching degree and I have my master's in ed leadership. So I understand the stress, I understand the budget cuts that you're under. But at the same time, there's been some decisions that were made that were not appropriate whatsoever. I learned in my educational leadership training, Mr. Davis, that you should know your people. Have you truly taken the time to know your people and the people you're cutting and what you're doing in our classrooms? I don't think you have. School board members, I filled out my survey before you hired him, and I said, please hire from within. We have to know someone who knows the system from the ground up. And we don't have that, and it's turning into a disaster because we don't have someone that understands all the intricacies of this district. Think about when all of you came onto this board, what you didn't know and what you learned. He's having to learn all of this in a pandemic. The man works tremendous hours, but there are decisions, Mr. Davis, that you have made that are deplorable, such as getting rid of graduation and refusing to listen to anybody about things we could do for social distancing. Thousands of children did not get a graduation because you didn't want to do it. It was nothing to do with the pandemic, let's be honest, okay? Then you changed the entire organizational structure completely, and you brought on this dream team, which also brought on 17 non-school related $2 million plus budget. Bad decision. We need the money. You know that. It's not there, but you hired your dream team and brought your cronies in. What do they know about our district? No more than you do. You were taught in educational leadership to look at what's going on in a district before you make changes. You didn't do that. You have a driver, somebody that I know that knows you. You told him, these teachers don't understand how big this district is, and I work the whole time I'm in that car. I believe it. You work a lot of hours. I give you that. You're a workhorse. But what about these teachers that are being transferred across the district? Are you going to give them a driver? So when they're trying to make their lesson plans for Monday, and those teachers don't even know where they're going to teach or what they're going to teach on Monday. But they're supposed to drive across the county and do that without a driver. I think you can do that too. For years, we've had superintendents who consider us their family. You did look out for your family. You looked out for your brother. And you bought a program from your brother's company. That's not illegal, Mr. Davis, but it's morally corrupt.
Thank you. Your time is up.
Okay. Please think about it, Mr. Davis. Would you have done this if your child, if you had placed your child in a Hillsborough County School District?
I believe his child is in the Hillsborough County School District, and he will be responding to some of your comments shortly.
Excellent.
So,
thank you.
Thank you. All right, board members, we have one special presentation this evening. That was the end of our employee input. Thank you. And this is board member Cindy Stewart's last official board meeting as school board member after 8 years serving the Hillsborough County Public School District. And we have a few things that we need to tell you before you go. First, I'd like to invite Member Stewart, if you would, with Superintendent Davis to head to the front of the dais, head to the front of the class, students. And I'm going to read a very special resolution for Ms. Stewart. All right. Whereas Cindy Stewart, a native of Tampa and a graduate of Lato High School, is ending an 8-year period of service as a member of the School Board of Hillsborough County, Florida on Tuesday, October 20th, 2020. And whereas her tireless dedication to schools and the school district of Hillsborough County Public Schools through her service on PTAs and extensive volunteerism, and whereas Ms. Stewart's outstanding service to the community and devotion to public education has improved the lives of students and families across Hillsborough County Public Schools, and whereas Ms. Stewart's involvement with Feeding Tampa Bay has translated to feeding minds and nourishing communities and the creation of 28 food pantries in our schools. And whereas her passion for protecting our district's LGBTQ plus students to provide a safe and compassionate environment and working with Equality Florida to help promote sensitivity, and whereas her involvement with the Metropolitan Planning Organization has helped our district plan safe commutes to schools and increase safety around schools, and whereas Ms. Stewart sits as a board member for the Florida School Boards Association representing Hillsborough County and is on the state legislative committee, and whereas her ability to put politics aside and work in a nonpartisan way for the best of the people has been demonstrated, her deep love for students and staff of Hillsborough County Public Schools. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the School Board of Hillsborough County, Florida deems it fitting and proper to publicly recognize the distinguished contributions of board member Cindy Stewart and to express its great appreciation to Miss Cindy Stewart. Be it further resolved that a copy of this resolution be certified by the Superintendent of Schools of Hillsborough County, Florida, and be immediately presented to Miss Stewart. And be it further resolved that a copy be placed in the minutes and said page dedicated to Miss Cindy Stewart, and a copy of this resolution be made available to the public, to be hopefully adopted shortly on this 20th day of October 2020. You may applaud now. Congratulations. So, Member Stewart has a resolution that we need to adopt. I need a motion and a second to adopt the resolution. I have a motion by Member Kona and a second by Member Perez. Before we do we're going to skip the discussion on the resolution, but I know there are going to be some board comments following, but I don't want you to have to stand there the entire time we do board comments. So at this point, there's no discussion on the particular resolution that we're going to vote on, then board members, please vote when your lights appear. And could someone please vote for, help Ms. Stewart there with her. I'm going to assume you, right. Okay. All right. And it is unanimous. Congratulations, Ms. Stewart. Mr. Davis, could you please present Ms. Stewart with this resolution? And I believe that you may have some family members here that would like to get a photo opportunity with you.
Before I do this, I had a chance to watch many school board meetings before I ever applied for this job. So, I really do know this I'm still applying every day. I really do know this organization. But overall, I got a chance to see what a champion you are for education. When we talk about game changers in the field, you just didn't show up. You actually understood the mechanics of education, understood everything that teachers and support staff and leaders were going through every single day. You didn't only understand in Hillsborough, but you also were known throughout the state for being one that understood policy, could drive the work, and understand the connectivity. Me coming on board, I've learned so much from you, just from your questions, you asked the right questions, and you have made me a better superintendent. And you've made us a better organization. I only got a chance to work with you a little time, but I can tell you this. Hillsborough County, Clerk of the Court, they're so lucky to have you. So lucky for you. For the next 4 years, you'll do great things. And the good thing is you're only a phone call away to continue to help us. And so I want to, can tell you congratulations and a job well done.
At this juncture, if you have some family members here that would like to...
Sorry, before you come up, sorry, I know. Okay, okay. No? Mr. Davis has something he also wanted to present to you. And so we'll have him do that. And then after that, and then you guys will take a picture. And then after that, your family will come up.
And you tell I picked that out?
And you wrapped it too?
Yes, I did.
He did.
Thank you, Bonnie. You like to take a lot of notes? A lot of notes and just click on the court. Congratulations.
And there's one more. Cindy is known for taking notes at everything she goes to. So Mr. Davis said, get her this. And that's what she will carry with her.
It says the best is yet to come.
Okay, now you guys are going to take a photo, right? Then then the not yet. Your plaque. Hold your plaque. No. Thank you. And now,
Okay, what was next?
friends and family.
Friends and family.
And board.
And board. Okay. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
All right, I gotta get this right here.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Wow, they are really color coding.
Is this on?
Yeah.
Okay.
You need it on?
I might. Well, I will. Oh, and this is the card. Ms. Stewart, we also have, in addition to the flowers from the board and the secretaries and Mr. Porter and Mr. Davis pitched in for those as well, we also have a special piece of artwork that we'd like to present you with. It is a water lilies created by a third grade student from Gorey Elementary School. And yeah, I missed that. So anyway, I just wanted to present that to say thank you for your service from Hillsborough County Public Schools. Yeah. I know, right? Okay. Mr. Davis, would you like to say any further words, or could we also have board members I know that want to chime in and speak? So I know you've already made some comments, but if at this moment, if there are any board members that would like to make some comments, then we will go ahead and take them. Go ahead and punch in. Okay, so we have Member Perez and.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Member Stewart, it's been a pleasure working with you, and I've really learned a lot from you. You've taught me a lot, and hopefully, I'll see you and give you a call and harass you a little bit, if not a lot. But it's been a pleasure.
Thank you so much, Member Perez. Member Kona.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and Member Stewart, congratulations. I know we've told you that a million times, but congratulations on your career here at the school district. You've done amazing work, and you're one of the school board members that always took a hands-on approach, and that's something that I try to model when I came on the board. So I appreciate you being a very strong advocate for our students, and everything that you've done for me personally. I appreciate that, and best of luck to you. And at least, hey, now we can talk after this meeting, so it's great.
Thank you, Member Kona. Dr. Hahn?
Thank you. Well, Cindy, we met long before I became a school board member when I was working at USF as a professor, and we were both working at Mort Elementary School to bring a school-university partnership to that school. And so I saw firsthand how dedicated you were to your position as a school board member and how you advocated for your schools. And that really stayed with me. And then I was fortunate enough to win an election and end up being your colleague. And they sat me next to you because they sit all the newbies with the veterans to, make sure that if there's any questions during a meeting around procedures and protocol, there's someone next to us that can kind of remind us to hit our button and which one, like where everything is. And I couldn't have asked for a better mentor on the board. And I'm very proud of you. I saw you work very hard during your campaign, and it was a win well deserved. And so I wish you the best of luck and many blessings moving forward. And I will miss you. Because sometimes we get the giggles, but I know you're only a few blocks away. So like Steve, now we can at least talk and have lunch.
So true. All right. Thank you, Dr. Hahn. Member Gray?
I just want to thank you also for your commitment to our children, our students, and for many years of public service. It is, to me, one of the most important positions in life to serve the public. And you've done an excellent job, and for that I appreciate it, and I want to wish you great speed, Godspeed, and it is for your new position. Congratulations.
Thank you, Member Gray. Member Schamberger?
Thank you so much, Madam Chair. So for the last time, Board Member Stewart, and to the new clerk-elect, thank you so much for your dedication and service to the students of Hillsborough County. You really demonstrate what servant leadership is all about. The same as Dr. Hahn, thank you so much for embracing me and mentoring me when I first got elected to the board as well. You really set the tone for who I would become, and so I want to thank you so much for that. The clerk's office is very lucky to have you. You're going to do exceptionally well, and we look forward to following your future successes. So good luck to you.
Thank you, Member Schamberger. Well. We're all alone. No, I concur with many of the sentiments of our colleagues here at the dais, and just want to say that I know that you work probably harder than any person I've worked with in this district. I mean, you really are dedicated to this school district and its success. And so I know that we haven't always seen eye to eye on certain items, but we have seen eye to eye on more probably than not. And so, and that makes for a good relationship as professionals here in the school district. But now that we can actually talk to each other, this is a theme, right? Now that we can actually talk to each other outside of school board meetings, I look forward to some lunch or something. It's 5 o'clock somewhere. But I want to thank you for your dedication and all the hard work that you really, really work hard for students, and people appreciate. And you've really made some deep relationships in this district, not just on this board as colleagues, but you've made some deep relationships across this district, and people really, really appreciate how hard you work for your constituents and how hard you work especially for our students in this district. And that has not gone unnoticed, and it's very much appreciated by many, many people. So best wishes to you in your new position. You're going to do a bang-up job over there, and we can't wait to hear all the greatness that you'll do at the Clerk of the Courts for Hillsborough County. So congratulations. Do you have anything that you'd like to share?
So I do. I won't save my comments for board comments, but I do have to say it's an honor, Superintendent, to serve with you and to have been on the committee that selected you to be the superintendent. There's some people here tonight that are very special to me. My daughter, for one, who just graduated from college, but she came home in the middle of this pandemic to help me launch and run for a seat that I really had kind of pushed off to the back burner. And I had filed to run for this seat again. And she said, "What are you doing?" And I said, I don't know. And I said, "Come home." And she helped me reach the finish line. There are 3 other people sitting with her. One is a very dear friend of mine who her older daughter and my middle daughter went to school together. She will be joining my team at the clerk's office. And 2 of your employees, unfortunately, Mr. Superintendent, are going to be coming with me. And I know they've already announced to you this, and I'm not sure they're ready for the public to hear that. But Mary Lou Whaley and Bonnie Lambert are both coming down to the clerk's office to work with me. So I'm very excited about the team that I am building to move forward. So, hence the reason they stood with me. I've had the privilege of serving this district and my community for 8 years, and I'm really excited for the change that's going to happen at this board. I'm excited for the people who are coming forward. I've been honored to graduate thousands of students and confer their graduations. I'm sad that we didn't get to do that this year. And Mr. Kona has already told me if he becomes board chair, I can come back and confer my 3rd child's graduation, because that's the only one that I'll be missing. And it is an honor to stand there and confer your children's graduating class. I've enjoyed and engaged with the leadership, not only on this board, but on former boards. There are many people who came before me, and you're right, Ms. Snively, we don't always agree. I didn't always agree with former board members, but a lot of them have reached out to me recently and congratulated me on the work and where I'm going. I'm appreciative and proud of the teachers and the leaders in this community, many who have become my friends. I call them when I hear things that are going on, and they're honest with me, and that's something that I don't know that we always get. And I know that they're standing in front of our children, and so I have to believe them. I always to tell the former superintendent, look, I don't sit home at night and make this stuff up. Like, someone tells me this stuff is happening in our schools. As a board member, it's been a privilege to serve you for the Florida School Boards Association for many years. This is a very dear group. I hold them very close. That leadership team is so special to me, and I'm going to miss them tremendously. Recently, having the opportunity to serve at the national level with the Council of Urban Boards of Education, the National School Boards Association, I hope that they come back to this district for another representative. I know that they want that to happen. So I thank these organizations for their continued leadership and their continued commitment to large urban organizations, large urban school districts. I've had the opportunity to learn from many of the dedicated leaders across this state and across this nation, and also the legislatures for the people who fight for public education in Tallahassee. Let's not ever forget that our job is local, but what really happens in this local economy comes from the state. So that's so important for us to continue those relationships. I admire the past superintendents who have been here and the work that they've done. Your job is not easy, Superintendent. And I know that it's an abundance of work, and I know that you put a lot of effort and energy into it, as did our former superintendents. To the employees in the district offices that I have grown very close to, Your dedication to the families is commendable. And Mr. Davis, you have some amazing employees in this community and in these 3 buildings that we have that are downtown. I appreciate all of you always being willing and able to help me lift projects that I would come to you with, such as food pantries, which are now at a number of 28. We're hoping to expand those. I hope that work continues because it's so needed in the community. As I leave the board and my office downtown here, know that I'm only 2 blocks away. And my door is always open, and I'm very privileged to continue to serve this community in a different capacity, but still as an elected official. Never lose sight that you are an elected official. I look forward to your continued friendship, and I want to publicly acknowledge and thank all of you, because I wouldn't be where I am today if not for the people who are in this room and the people in these buildings. Mr. Porter, I was here when we hired you. You have been an amazing person to not only be my friend, but to lead me in the right direction and keep us out of trouble and keep us on the straight and narrow path. And I so appreciate that. But the work is never done. I could have stayed here another 8 years and we would always have work to do. But I'm privileged and honored to be here. And so thank you all very much for the recognition.
Thank you and congratulations again. At this time, board members, we're going to take a 10-minute recess, and then we'll resume to continue our meeting. Thank you.